The Adam Neely video on this AI. Are the AI music people more or less the same as the LLMs? Are these also LLMs? Or Tectone's cross was so bad his lawyers didn't even redirect? When you say redirect, does that mean he gets direct examination, then cross-examined, and then they didn't come back to do another direct after the cross? Is that what a redirect is? It was so bad. Ugh. Okay, maybe I'll read it. At some point in the next few days, I need to start preparing for this debate. We're going to have this is going to be a nuclear one. This is going to be like the, I want to do this like the Dinesh D'Souza one with Constantine.
On August 12, 2017,
I've only seen like clips and pieces, but apparently this guy just did an interview in England. He got roasted. I'm watching 30 minutes of this, okay?
This is Mikey Schulman, CEO of the generative AI music company Suno. Suno is worth $2.5 billion, largely because investors believe in Mikey's vision for the future of the music industry. He wants to model it after the video game industry.
I think that the music industry is way smaller than it needs to be.
What if the music industry can be as big as the gaming industry? The gaming industry is 50 times bigger than the music industry. And it's because gaming is super active. If you make music interactive and you make music engaging, people will pay for it like they pay for video games.
Look at the video game industry. These are rich and engaging experiences that people have. And music today is mostly just listened to.
Too much music is just passive consumption.
Now, in contrast to the passive consumption...
Hold on. Oh my God. Listen, I'm not even a fucking... I love billionaires and I love capitalism. I love all of that. Did anybody just hear for 20 seconds a whole bunch of people complaining that they don't have microtransactions in music? That's all I just heard for the past 30 seconds. How do we find a way to charge people every single time they engage with music? There's got to be a way to make money out of them every single time they engage with... There's got to be a way to make it more... Now, they use words like interactive, but how do we make their wallets interact more with the music?
That people have. And music today is mostly just listened to.
Too much music is just passive consumption.
Imagine if you could buy premium tracks. Imagine you have like, this is the Pores version of this song, but if you unlock the premium version, there's like an extra verse featuring Jay-Z, or there's like an extra layer of fucking strings or whatever. Like,
Now, in contrast to the passive consumption of audio recordings, Mikey's vision is to take generative AI and use it to sell the idea of making music as a consumer product into itself.
We are best known for giving everybody the ability to create. The thing that is new here is certainly creation.
We have opened up a new...
one of the coolest, this he had already tipped over, and he's just fucking, he was entering his manic depressive arc. I thought it was interesting when Kanye was releasing albums electronically, but he kept like tweaking and adding stuff. Or I remember he did this, was it The Life of Pablo, where he was like tweeting, I was like, hold on, I'm making some adjustments to this song. I actually think it's super fascinating when you hear the development process for tracks or for songs for musicians. Like, I really like when bands will produce like an EP or an LP, which I think means the same thing, but they have literally the opposite words, extended play or limited play. I think, is that what LP means? Whatever. When bands will release these, and then later on when they get a deal, they actually release like their, they release like the actual songs, but then it's like a different version of the song they had in their EP or LP or whatever. I think it's really interesting to see the changes they make and everything. I think it's cool. So that kind of stuff is cool, I think, but.
method of interaction, which is creation.
He pitches this idea to the many investors that he talks to.
EP is shorter, LP is longer. Is that true? He released an LP. Oh no, I guess that is true. The Marshall Mathers LP. Was the Slim Shady LP, and was that an LP? Oh, maybe LP is always an album. I'm just thinking EP then. Anyone else EP in chat?
Music as a consumer product into itself.
We are best known for giving everybody the ability to create. The thing that is new here is certainly creation.
We have opened up a new method of interaction, which is creation.
He pitches this idea to the many investors that he talks to on podcasts by using this analogy of a video game.
Deadmau5, I don't know who that is. Deadmau5, you mean? Live streamed his music creation. It's pretty cool to watch how much he throws away. There was a video of him finding the voice for one of his big hits. Yeah, I've seen that. That's an epic Reddit video that I think is actually cute. I enjoyed watching it. I watched that. Yeah, that's cute.
It's a little bit like a video game.
Why should it resemble a video game?
In some sense, music is a game. It is interactive. It is engaging. It is fun by yourself, but it's more fun with your friends. To me, it seems like just crazy that music should not be as engaging as Fortnite.
Now, in order to make music as engaging as Fortnite, Suno lets users create songs in a bunch of different ways. You can prompt the model through text, kind of like ChatGPT, but you can also sing melodies into the app, and then it will generate music and chord progressions that go with your melodies. You can also upload demos, and then the app will realize a fully produced track around your demo. Suno does not think of these as professional workflows, but rather consumer experiences.
We are in the business of selling pleasurable musical experiences to people, super engaging digital experiences around music.
The new experiences that were never possible before. So many more experiences are possible. Engaging, meaningful experiences.
Way more valuable and fun experiences. Start to see a lot more around meaningful consumption experiences.
One of the interesting ways that music is integrated, funnily enough, I guess, with video games, I actually really like it. Could you do this in GTA 5? Where you could like upload songs and then play them in the game? I know you could do it for Metal Gear Solid 5, which I thought was cute. You could put, I don't know if you just put an MP3 in a folder or whatever, but the helicopter, when it would come to pick you up, will play whatever song you put in your music folder. I think that's super cute. Oh, maybe I think of San Andreas, you could do it. Yeah, that's cute. That's a nice way to integrate music with, that's with a video game, but...
Meaningful consumption experiences might mean making music with other people, what Mikey calls multiplayer mode.
The most fun experiences will involve 2 or more people.
For lack of a better word, multiplayer.
For lack of a better word, everything multiplayer. Multiplayer. People basically hacking multiplayer mode.
Now, Mikey is a businessman, and he wants to find ways of monetizing these meaningful experiences.
I will say, like, what if there was a way to make it so that 2 people could engage with each other and, like, through an app or something, kind of like collaboratively make music? Like, yeah, it's just called learning how to play music. Like, you can do that. I guess we're trying to find a shortcut for it, but like, that's just called learning an instrument, Chief. Like, yeah.
Option that he pitches to investors is to focus on superfans.
If you read the earnings calls from the major rights holders, there's a lot of talk of superfans. The next wave of monetization is going to come from increased interactions between fans and their favorite artists. We did this contest with Tim.
Oh, super fans. Yes, I like how we're getting more friendly terms from. Excuse me, whales, sir? Whales? I don't know what you just said. I don't know that term. Those are our super fans, okay?
Where fans could remix one of his songs. And to me, this is like an incredible part of the future of music. I will feel like I'm co-creating with that artist. It's quite obvious to me that people will want to pay a lot of money for that.
These are what the video game industry might call whales. People willing to spend a lot of money on microtransactions because of a hyperfixation on the game.
How do we get super fandom to be a daily activity?
It will be more valuable to them, and they will want to do more of it, and they will want to pay more for these experiences.
Should be willing to pay more for it. You know, if you want to just be cold and hard and calculating about it, the amount that you are willing to pay for something is a measure of its value. Just in terms of the number of dollars or the amount of time people are spending doing music, both of those are going to go up dramatically.
And this is something that we
Hold on.
Is a measure of its value. Just in terms of the...
Does this guy look like a little bit like he could be related to him? Oh my God. He was one of the Batmans, the main character in The Accountant. Nathan Felder, a little bit, but crossed with the one guy. Hello, can you die, please? Oh my God. Who am I thinking of? Yeah, Ben Affleck, a little bit. Nathan Felder, Ben Affleck, hybrid, 100%. 100%, a younger version.
The number of dollars or the amount of time people are spending doing music, both of those are going to go up dramatically.
And this is something that we should lean into. And so, like, there should be 1 billion people doing this.
God, it's cringe.
A billion? Yeah, why not? Yeah.
And Mikey has big visions for this product. He wants billions of people to use it.
We can get 1 billion people much more engaged with music than they are now. If we can bring those joys to 1 billion people, then we will have created a lot of value for them. We will have upvalued music for everybody on the planet.
Upvalued.
1 billion people way more into music than they were before. That's got to be good for music.
I challenge somebody to explain to me how 1 billion people way more into music than they could have been is somehow bad for artists.
True. Good for artists. Oh, hi.
Challenge accepted. In this video, I'm going to painstakingly argue what should be obvious by vibes alone.
Uh-oh.
And that is, all of this is bad. Commercial generative AI is bad in ways which are different from other disruptive music technologies of the past, like MIDI sequencing and samplers, because there is a socio-political agenda behind its adoption. This agenda will be bad for musicians, it will be bad for music lovers, and it will leave us feeling more alienated and alone. Wow. I should emphasize the fact that I don't have any beef with the technology of generative AI. I think people can do some really amazing things with it. I also don't think that people who use Suno are bad people. I think, there can be great joy with the technology.
Good clarification.
Sometimes enjoy a good meaningful consumption experience.
Meaningful consumption experiences.
In fact, I'm kind of uninterested in the general culture war, pro-AI or anti-AI. Like any culture war, it's a distraction from the real war, the class war. You see, there's a class of techno-capitalists who are currently using generative AI as a means of wealth extraction. They do this by circumventing intellectual property laws.
Yeah, we know that there are some copyrighted works in our training data.
And then sell you back the gamified experience of making music.
It's a little bit like a video game.
I'd like to make it very clear that I think this is wrong, this is bad, and the future of music is in bad hands. So say it with me, everybody. AI music bad.
Transcendent efficiency. The abolishment of struggle. Unanimous consent to your every whim.
I am free.
This is fucking awesome. I want this thing.
Of communication. We ask the Lord for abundance, and we have received abundance.
AI music bad.
The tune had been haunting London for weeks past. It was one of countless similar songs published for the benefit of the proles by a subsection of the music department. The words of those songs were composed without any human intervention whatsoever on an instrument known as a versificator. George Orwell, 1984.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. So on social media, I asked 3 questions of people who used Suno. This was not a particularly scientific survey, but I did get a couple hundred people responding, and I thought the responses were very interesting. The first question was, what have generative AI tools like Suno empowered you to do that you cannot do with digital audio workstations or traditional musical instruments?
Whoa,
And
like
the second
what?
question was, do you feel like you have a unique voice with your music when you create songs with Suno? And the third question was, who are some of your favorite AI musicians who have influenced you? What about them inspires you? I worded these questions in a way
AI
that I
musicians?
hope showed how Suno was being used in the real world by real people. And I think the results are pretty interesting.
Okay.
For example, the most common answer to the first question about like, what does Suno let you do differently from other workflows was by a large margin, it saves me time.
It speeds things up. Speed and getting ideas out. Speed. It's so much faster if I just want to meme at my friends. It's faster than digging for loops or samples. Rapid iteration for sure.
Move fast, break things is the Silicon Valley slogan, and this technology lets you iterate on ideas very quickly, which is why Mark Cuban and other tech billionaires can't see why people don't love AI in the arts. After all, it allows for much faster iteration.
When you make it easier for people to conceptualize things, they can go through concepts more quickly, they can iterate more quickly. This is how music will evolve more quickly.
This language of iteration and productivity is the language of product design. It's the language of manufacturing applied to art and music. Through this lens, like the factory worker on the floor, the time a person spends making music has no intrinsic value. Why spend 6 hours making a song that's going to stream for the same amount of value on Spotify when you can make the same song in just 15 minutes or less? That's just a really inefficient return on investment, right?
I know one person who is a songwriter who had a lull in creativity, and after finding Suno, went from maybe making 50 songs a year to making 500 songs a year.
Reducing the amount of time it takes to get to a
I'm curious. Adam Neely does good, generally good work. Like, I'm sure this will be a good essay with a good theme that's woven throughout from start to finish. But I feel like sometimes it would benefit for these people to like red team or have like a person presenting opposing views, or maybe having 2 people do it and then like synthesize the ideas or something. Because like, maybe he'll bring it up. I feel like you could apply this sometimes to currently existing technological advancements in music. So when people are attacking the AI thing, it's very, very, very important, because people like me are always going to say, well, how is this different from past technological advancements? It's very important for them to distinguish why this is actually the really bad technological advancement. But all the other ones were okay. But this is like industry disruptive. But the other ones were okay. But this is different. But the other ones like weren't that different. But this is really different. I was like, is it really though? Because when he says, like, for instance, like this fast iteration or whatever, it's funny that he brings that up. This is exactly what I remember Hans Zimmer talking about when he was like producing the music for the Batman movies, because the synthesizers and everything by that point had developed so much and were so good that he could kind of compose on the fly while watching the edited footage that Christopher Nolan would send him. This is far more efficient. It helps you on, I guess, an iterative design process more than having an actual orchestra that you'd have to compose back and forth for. I wonder if I could find this.
In music, you're basically having a conversation. You kind of expressiveness.
Contributing ideas and so on, but he's got those. Each group is composed of
Endless possibilities. Plus, you have to learn
to his voice, but it all made it even more unclear. So we pulled all that stuff out and just worked on the voice, making it as understandable as possible.
I started making music with computers in the late 70s. You know, when you had to go and actually write in code and stuff like this. And when you write on paper, you're basically writing an instruction manual for other people to perform. When you're writing in the computer, the way I do, is you perform every note. At one point or the other, every note that is in the score has been played by me. And been fiddled around with by me. So it takes a lot longer. The technology doesn't make things faster, it makes them slower, if anything, because it opens up endless possibilities. Plus, you have to learn how to deal with it, so it doesn't drive you.
Like him being able to sit there and fiddle with every single thing on a computer, like he would never be able to do this with a real orchestra. So I feel like arguably that thing he's saying, like, well, this helps you do these highly iterative musical compositional processes or whatever. Like I feel like past stuff has allowed you to do that. No?
That's going to stream for the same amount of value on Spotify when you can make the same song.
He was talking about sample libraries for orchestral arrangement, not needing an orchestra. Well, sure, but that's part of the technological advancements, is you don't have to write a score, hear somebody play it, layer it over the music, and then go from there. Like I think there's a larger documentary of just him, that might be a cut from it, of him like showing how he plays as he's watching the edited footage sent to him and then going back and redoing it or whatever, or tweaking notes or whatever.
Song in just 15 minutes or less. That's just a really inefficient return on investment, right?
I know one person who is a songwriter who had a lull in creativity, and after finding Suno, went from maybe making 50 songs a year to making 500 songs a year.
Reducing the amount of time it takes to get to a minimum viable product is all that matters. And I say this because that is the philosophy.
The issue is that it takes away the creative process. You give up the decision making. You genuinely don't know the outcome when using generative AI for music production. It's not really your creation. You commission the AI. This is very different from most previous technological revolutions in music and art in general. Maybe, I guess. I don't know if it's meaningfully different or if it's just where we decide to draw the line. Like, I know that I don't know if this was a thing that he carried through for his whole life, but Jay-Z, I remember, would talk about sometimes not liking using samples or whatever. That he would bring in like a group and they would re-record whatever sample he wanted to use. Basically, sometimes he would just bring in an actual group and have them play the song and then record that instead, because he felt like that creative process was better than just ripping tracks from old stuff and then overlaying other shit. Yeah, I don't know. Some people also... Fuck, where did I... Oh, this was in a... this was like a 2-hour talk between a bunch of film composers. This isn't directly related to that, I guess. It was just an interesting thing. Some film score composers talked about how when they write songs, when they write music, they're literally writing for a specific player. Like they'll have like a cello player or a violin player, somebody in mind that they know plays in a certain way, and they'll write basically to that musician's talents or strengths or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. That's not related to those interests.
Behind Suno, the company, and how they think about their product.
Like, speed is obviously good. Ultimately, if you're trying to invent new consumer behaviors, which is what we are trying to do, you need to ship things very, very quickly to get feedback from people. How many experiments can you ship to your users and learn from? That is ultimately the thing that the company will live and die by. So speed is very important.
This mindset is instilled into the product itself. On Suno's website...
People are saying that's a fucking lie. He was just cheap and didn't want to pay for the original sample. There's no fucking... One, I doubt that Jay-Z was hurting for money. Because I think this was for for the Blueprint 3 or something. And then 2, you still are copyright infringing. You can't just re-record somebody else's song and not copyright infringe. You would still need the copyright to some extent. Maybe it's not the exact same type of license, but you would still need some license.
Alongside music, fun, and aesthetics. They list impatience as a core virtue, which I gotta say, doesn't really strike me as a virtue.
First of all,
Yeah.
It's not a virtue. Impatience is not a virtue. It actually goes against all of the virtues.
That's virtue ethicist and Platonic scholar Dr. Mariana Noe of the University of Arizona, who I talked to at great length about the deeper philosophical implications of the widespread adoption of generative AI and how these companies are instilling specific values through the use of their technology.
There's 4 big virtues, which are justice, wisdom, moderation, and courage. Points towards which we need to aim if we want to be good human beings. Impatience goes against almost all of them. Not justice, but it goes against courage, it goes against moderation, and it goes against wisdom. If you're an impatient person, there's no way you can be a courageous one. A courageous person is one that assesses the risk and knows when to attack, and also when it's just too rash. The same with moderation, of course. Moderation is about controlling your desires. Sometimes you just have to wait, and you have to control your desire to see results, right? And with wisdom, of course, impatience is also about throwing yourself to something without really knowing what's going on. So it will go against the idea of making a wise decision. So it's not a virtue. It goes against all virtues. That's important.
The most generous read that I have on this is that impatience for Suno means prioritizing action over inaction, and there is sometimes real value in working quickly and not second-guessing your intuitions. That's why it's exciting to watch Rob Scallon and Andrew Huang do their 1st of October project and write and record an album in a day. They aren't precious with their ideas, and they work fast for some truly special results. I did a similar thing with Ben Levin with our 24-hour album streams, making a couple of albums the same way. However, I think about how depressing it would be to watch the same video where Rob and Andrew simply generate their ideas on Suno. Both of them and the audience would be deeply cheated out of something hard to put a finger on. When faced with creative friction, like a deadline, Suno gives you the excuse to be impatient with the process. You don't have to work out your feelings of indecision in that moment. Suno can just do that for you.
So the value of patience is just the moderation of your own motivations almost, no? It's okay, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to eat that, but it's but now it's not the time, which is what makes us different from animals.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a very core feature of humanity. It's our ability to control ourselves and plan for the future.
Delay pleasure. Delay pleasure is what makes us
Yeah, and a big important part of teaching music or musical instruments to young children is just to show this. You get to do this cool thing if you put in hard work and wait for that reward.
Yeah.
Another common answer to the first question about what Suno lets you do differently was it saves me money. And fair. I mean, it is genuinely a cheaper way of getting a final product where you don't have to pay a mix engineer or a producer, right? Suno's head of creators, Rosie Wynn, argued in a Twitter post that Suno is great for low-income accessibility and people who don't have access to music lessons. I really wish Suno existed 20 years ago when I was a kid in elementary school, showing strangers songs I wrote with no way to produce them.
Straw man voice!
I'm really, really happy that it exists today for all of the other kids who might need it. This feels a bit cynical to me, and I think a lot of other people in that Twitter thread felt similar, because of course there is no material difference between Suno, which requires an internet connection and a computer, to any of the other free resources out there, free digital audio workstations, sample libraries, educational videos on YouTube, etc. You could make the argument that the free time to dedicate towards learning those tools and honing your craft is itself a luxury that people without means don't have. But to me, that's a much stronger argument for a 40-hour work week and a living wage than it is for generative AI. So if you're broke, please just do what everybody in my generation did and crack a copy of FL Studio and get to work. The third common answer to this first question was, it's like a co-creator, a musical partner I can bounce ideas off of. People have begun to anthropomorphize Suno to a certain degree, calling it a creative assistant or collaborator or even a co-producer. We've started seeing people say their music was co-produced by Suno.
That co-pilot analogy.
It's exactly
you've got this like songwriting assistant that's like sitting with you and like you're workshopping it together.
It's like an assistant when I do a beat and I'm like, yo, how would you take these drums and rearrange it this way? And I'm like, oh, I would have never heard it that way.
This is a line that you'll often hear about the professional usage of this tool, in that it's not going to do the work for you, but it might give you inspiration and ideas that you wouldn't normally think of if you were just working by yourself.
It's like another human giving a human an idea.
This is, of course, what a musical collaborator is, or put it another way, a friend.
For Aristotle, a friend is an important part of living a good life. So in his Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle basically shares his thoughts on how to be a good person and live a good life. And he dedicates 1.5 books out of the 10 to talk about friends. A friend has to not only be someone who you have fun with and who's like, whatever, useful, because these are the tiers of friendship that he distinguishes. Someone who's useful to you, like when you get a ride from someone to the airport or whatever. Someone who you have fun with, which is like when you party. But someone who can also, in addition of those two things, also keep you accountable and help you be a better version of yourself. So a friend is someone that has that power to teach you something and at the same time also be taught by you.
I have a lot of great musical collaborators like Sean Crowder, Ben Levin, and Lau Noah. They're very different people and they challenge me in very different ways and bring out different aspects of my musicianship that I would never have if I just made music alone. Sometimes there's even conflict, differences of opinion of where the music should go. But by resolving that conflict, we get some pretty special results, I think. I'm a better person because of those musical relationships I work so hard to maintain, both on the bandstand and in real life. Using Suno as a musical friend replacement might feed into some narcissistic tendencies. Because you never have to negotiate with it. You just take the ideas that you like and discard the rest. Generative AI gives you an imitation of what it's like to have a musical collaborator, but somebody who does not hold you to high standards, musical or otherwise.
In the Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle talks about how flatterers, people that flatter you, are not your friends. Because they're not giving you
dick
correct
riders
information about yourself. So they're just lying to you.
Well, what if Bernie Taupin hadn't ever, connected with Elton John and he had the opportunity to just enter his lyrics into Suno or whatever? Like, where would we be?
Now, zooming back a little bit and taking a look at the answers to this first question, we see that nobody answered anything musical, really. All the answers were about saving time, saving money, and replacing friends. In other words, Suno lets you make the same music faster, cheaper, and lonelier. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. The second question I asked was, do you feel like you have a unique voice with your music when you create songs with Suno? Some people said yes, but the majority of responses felt that the music that they made was not particularly unique to them. One possible explanation for this is that commercial generative AI can't really create anything new. It's just remixing old recordings. And so you can't have a unique voice with something that's just a remix of an old recording. Suno has admitted to have been trained on essentially all music files on the internet, what a lawsuit has called copyright infringement on an almost unimaginable scale.
Yeah, we know that there are some copyrighted works in our training data. That's not illegal.
The legal defense for this, at least according to briefs submitted to the U.S. Copyright Office by Silicon Valley venture capital firms, is that using copyrighted content to train AI models is fair use. Now, this smells a bit fishy to me, but I'm not a lawyer, so definitely check out.
So it's interesting that he brought up the virtues with regards to AI use. One interesting question I would be very interested to see if he addresses this is, there's something to be said for when we consume art, what is like the moral responsibility of the consumer there? Like, is there a right or wrong way to enjoy art? Because I'm curious if he addresses this at all in this video. What do we do if... I think that some of the laziest attacks you can make against AI-generated stuff is that, oh, well, it's not good. Like, that's the hook that you want to hang your hat on? So are you saying that if it was better, then your feelings about it would change substantially? I don't think that's true. I think your feelings could be the same. I think the interesting question to ask is, let's assume that at some point that AI art or AI music can generate music that people enjoy listening to that's better than, what 70% of musicians can produce. Would it still be immoral or unethical to employ that? Or for what reason would it be bad? I think you could find reasons why it would be bad. You'd speak to something related to like art and virtues and aesthetics or whatever. But I'd be interested to hear him like address that head on.
Miss Crystal, aka Top Music Attorney's videos on YouTube. She does great work on this stuff, especially with the ongoing independent musician lawsuit against Suno. But beyond the legal defense, the moral defense of this is that AI is just learning the same way that humans do, taking a look at what came before, detecting patterns in it, and then remixing it into new works. This is quite literally what I've been arguing on this channel for many years now with regards to all of those music plagiarism lawsuits, right? Human artists steal all the time. It's how culture gets made and passed down. So what's the difference when AI does it? Right?
It actually functions very similarly to how humans do. I'm absorbing all of the things that I know, all of the music that I heard, all of the culture that I see out there, and I'm finding some way to express it.
Well, when you say a model learns like a human, it's like saying a submarine swims like a human, which is meaningless. It's a category error because the scale of theft is so far beyond what a human could possibly do. It's theft on an inhuman scale. 2, human creativity is a process that can and often does challenge the status quo, and it is unclear if generative AI can do the same. This was exemplified in a fantastic question that I borrowed from a call for new aesthetics for the 21st century, which is, if jazz didn't exist, could you prompt Suno to create it? To me, I think the answer is no, because jazz, like any style of music, has a unique musical vocabulary that cannot be found from its influences. In other words,
is that true? Jazz harmonies and everything else don't have their roots in European harmonies and everything? That's an interesting... this guy knows way more about jazz than me. Maybe you have an argument against that, but...
I can't imagine any amalgam of blues recordings and ragtime recordings sounding anything like Sun Ra. You know what I mean? Something pretty massive is missing in that equation there, which is what Ethan Hine talks about in this blog post.
Well, probably the one thing missing, my guess is probably time as well, right? Like, if you were to play bebop for somebody... you know, in like the fucking, I don't know, in the early fucking 1900s or whatever, they probably think that you're crazy. They'd have no concept of, they'd have no idea. Well, even today, most people have no idea what you're listening to. But
I love 1980s hip hop because there's no way to predict it from projecting trends in 1970s pop. It questions basic assumptions. It's missing elements that you might have thought were necessary, like melodies, and it brings in elements you didn't know you wanted until you heard them, like samples and turntable scratching. Now that 1980s rap exists, it's easy to feed it into an AI as training data and get more 1980s rap, but there's no way that AI could have produced 1980s rap if it was only trained on 1970s pop.
I think this is why people feel like they don't have a unique voice with the platform, because it's so heavily weighted to the status quo. Now, the third question I asked was, who are some of your favorite AI musicians who have influenced you? What about them inspires you? Okay, so even though I kind of knew what the answers to this question would be, it still was really bleak reading them, because the vast majority of people, as it turns out, do not have influences.
I don't have any AI influences. I'm afraid I don't have any. At the moment, nothing. I don't listen to anybody else. I don't know any. I do not listen to AI slop. No influence. I don't know of any. Haven't heard any. No one. I don't know any AI relevant artist. Not applicable. I have no idea, to be honest. At the moment, nothing. I don't have an AI music influence. None. I do not religiously follow anyone. I don't have any AI music influences.
Why can't people who use Suno cite their influences? It's strange, right? Because if you ask the same question to any musician, writer, or artist who didn't use Suno, cite their influence.
None. I do not religiously follow anyone. I don't have any AI music idea, to be honest. At the moment, nothing. I don't have an AI music influence. None. I do not religiously follow anyone. I don't have...
If you ask the same question to any musician, writer, or artist who didn't use Gen AI, they would be able to go off forever on their influences. I think about, the bass players that inspired me. Jaco Pastorius, Victor Wooten, modern bass players like Tim LaFave's huge influence. I love Evan Marion. I don't know of anybody of any skill level who can't do that, who can't just be like, these guys are awesome. What is going on here? I know some people might say that, generative AI is too new for people to have influences, which on the surface makes sense, but I do have my doubts there. For example, there are people who have been using generative AI in their workflows for many years now, like Holly Herndon. She makes some pretty wild, amazing music, but it seems like the people who use commercial generative AI do not cite Holly Herndon as an influence. There are people who are using Suno, like Timbaland or Zania Monet, for example, but nobody seems to be citing Timbaland, right? It seems like nobody has role models in the space. No musician that they can point to and say, I want to be like that person, which is strange.
So role models are...
This also makes the assumption... The fuck? Sorry, well, this also makes the assumption that you would only ever use just AI. Couldn't this argument be defeated by saying it is only one part of a tool set? If I had to guess, somebody in chat made this analogy earlier, that's like the same thing as the people who say, well, Wikipedia is just a starting point for research. I think of all the people that say that, like 99% of them start and end on Wikipedia. For all the people like, oh, AI could be a tool, my guess is like 80% of people using it, it's like the start and end. That'd be my guess.
Are tools that we use to make decisions. So for example, if you want to become a famous musician, say...
I use the example of Victor Wooten maybe too frequently, but yes, Victor Wooten is a great example here.
Instead of making every decision by yourself with the limited information that you have, you can also ask yourself, what would Victor Wooten do?
What would Victor Wooten do? I'm going to get a bracelet with that.
Exactly. What would he do? Because what he did took him to the place where I want to get. So what would he do if he were in my position?
Right.
So we use role models to reason our way through life, and for that reason, to make decisions in our day-to-day life that will lead us to the place where we want to go.
Art movements historically coalesce around influential artists, role models. Jimi Hendrix inspired a generation to pick up the guitar. Sophie inspired a generation to make hyperpop music. This does not seem to be happening here. Why? There is an Aziz Ansari bit from 2010 about him being invited to Kanye West's house after a show. Aziz arrives at the house to find Kanye West alone on a couch, listening to 808s and Heartbreaks, which is Kanye's own album.
I was like, yo, man, are you listening to your own album in your own house, bopping your own head? And he goes, yeah, these beats are dope.
The joke, of course, is that Kanye is being comically narcissistic.
And I go, that'd be like if I had a stand-up album, you came over to my house and I was listening to it going, these jokes are dope.
Who listens to their own music like that? Well, the answer to the question, who listens to their own music like that, is people who use Suno. On r/Suno, when the question was posed, who are your favorite artists as listeners, the answers were me. That's the point, ain't it? Me.
Me. I created new genres. To be honest, my favorite album is the one that I just finished making.
Page after page in our Suno is people being Kanye West. Reason number one for no AI influences, narcissistic music. Many people now, quite literally, only listen to the music that they themselves have created on the platform Suno. Not other AI music, not non-AI music, but just the music that they themselves are generating.
I know I'm not the only one that just replays their own Suno songs 24/7. I think it's at least 80% of my music intake right now. Yeah, I just listen to my music 90% of the time. If you're not addicted to your own songs, no one else will be.
Listen, I'm very proud of the music that I make. I think it's great. I think you should listen to it, and yet I do not want to listen to it at all. It's very hard for me to listen to, just the same as it's hard for anybody to listen to the sound of their own speaking voice in recorded form. It seems like people who use generative AI aren't encountering the same problem. They genuinely are obsessed with their creations.
It's so true. I mostly listen to my Suno songs now. This tracks. I mean, we're making the music that we personally like to listen to. Yes, my songs are top tier compared to what's playing in the radio. I definitely listen to my own music most of the time now. Why wouldn't I?
Is this the straw man voice?
Warns of this effect as a result of hyper-personalization. He genuinely does not want this to happen.
Or imagine you would open an app and it would just stream you endless AI music that is so hyper-tailored to you. It's just hitting that nerve in your brain. It's like a drug. And this is extremely antisocial. I think that would also be a shame because it misses out on a lot more that's fun.
But the evidence suggests that this narcissistic listening pattern is the pattern that's developing from people who use commercial-grade generative AI.
When everyone can make their own music to his own taste, there are no reasons to listen to other people's music other than to get ideas and prompts for our own music. Welcome to the future of music.
You ever been in a car where people are singing along to a song where you don't know the lyrics? It can kind of be alienating, right? Like you want to join in, but they have this shared cultural knowledge that you don't, and so you feel left out.
Yeah, just sing anyway. Get all the words wrong.
More fun to sing along with people when everybody knows the lyrics, especially in contexts where you're singing with strangers, because that's a way of meeting people and engaging with new people that you didn't know before. When the culture that we consume is entirely personalized, however, this is impossible. This is one of the reasons why people have no influences. They never listen to any other music. Reason number two for no AI influences, deskilling.
There's the process of learning that is slow, organic, and it makes you feel good when you finally get it on the other side. There's a certain thing about that you don't get when you just generate the thing and it's just there. Relying on it as a learning tool takes away your onus from the decision-making process. It's taking everything out that you normally do in here and it's putting it out here, so you don't have to do it. As a result, this gets weaker.
You should know this by now, but ChatGPT makes you dumber. It atrophies your brain. It reduces your cognitive capacity because it offloads decision-making skills that your brain normally makes to the machine. Cognitive debt accrues, and your brain stops doing what it used to be able to do just fine. This has led to a frightening process in the
Not my
workplace
brain.
called deskilling. When decisions are offloaded to generative AI, skilled labor turns into unskilled labor. The people who have specialized training are cognitively stripped of that training, and we're starting to see this in the medical field. A recent study found that after only 3 months of using an AI tool designed to help spot precancerous growths during colonoscopies, doctors were significantly worse at finding the growths on their own. They were, in fact, deskilled.
Whoa!
We're probably going to start seeing a similar thing happening in music in the next couple of years, given the ubiquity of generative AI in the field.
I have not been in a session in the last 12 months that AI was not used. AI is being used and it's omnipresent in the creative process right now, at least at the highest levels.
That's songwriter and CEO of the Grammys, Harvey Mason Jr., who is a big advocate for musicians getting ahead of the curve and adopting AI into their workflow.
There's not been a session that I've been in that somebody wasn't using AI to come up with a beat, to write some lyrics, to figure out what some different melody versions could look like, to try different styles of production across some chord changes.
My prediction is that this will likely lead to songwriters becoming deskilled the same way that doctors are. They will rely on the tools much more to make decisions for them in the name of speed or impatience, and their decision-making abilities will become diminished. All that time spent honing their skills, gone. ChatGPT brain for musicians. Now, you could make the argument that this could lead to the development of a new craft or a new skill. Much like laptop production became a skill unto itself, prompt engineering might become the new frontier. There could be like new rock stars of prompt engineering who dazzle us with their prompts. Maybe. Call me an old man. Call me an old man. I am 37 now. But I have my doubts on whether or not we will get this. Prompt engineering, in music anyway, goes against a foundational idea of what a craft, a skill, even is.
I'm thinking about the notion of craft, that we talked a little bit about it. But craft means, for Plato and for Aristotle, knowing what the outcome of your work, your production will be. And I just realized that that's 100% what is not happening here. So the example that Plato gives us is that a good doctor is the one that both knows how to cure someone.
Could you see labels pushing their artists to use AI? If it were to happen, it probably wouldn't be direct, but it would be in effect. So like, let's say you've got like 10 musicians and like 9 are using AI or whatever. Their budgets might be significantly smaller because they don't have to hire like a producer or like musicians or whatever. And the one guy who's like, oh, I think I want to do this old school style with real human beings, or even like old school style with a DAW instead of like Suno or whatever the fuck they're talking about. They might say, nah, we don't have the money for that. Fuck you. We're not going to give you the time, money, budget, whatever. And then you're like, oh, well. So you could get pigeonholed into it. I don't know where the music world's at on shit like that though right now.
And how to kill them. in order to have a craft, you have to know how it, like whatever comes out of it, you have to know how to apply the things, and you have to know the product of it. You don't know what's coming. It's like, I'm going to cure it, I'm going to kill it. I don't know. That is not a craft. It's just randomness. I don't think that the Greeks would appreciate the fact that anyone relates craft to AI prompting, because you never know what the AI is going to get you.
I guess the counter argument for that would be that so much of music and so much of art, great things, are based on happy accidents. Like, oh my God, this thing happened and I didn't expect it to. But then the counter to that argument is the great artist knows how to capitalize on that bit of randomness and knows exactly how to take that from that initial spark to the final product. Now, you could argue that the craft is lyric writing, which is an old craft, and sure, I actually think that's fine. You could make that argument. But Mikey believes that the future of music is not based on a person's ability, how well they can do a thing, but rather on their taste, how discerning they are in the consumption of a thing.
Increasingly, taste is the only thing that matters, and skill is going to matter a lot less, because you're going to be able to make a lot of stuff, and the people who are going to be recognized are people who are able to pick from the vast quantity of stuff and use, in the case of music, their ears to say that was good and that was bad. Now, I'm able to describe music and get something out, and increasingly, I'm going to have to use my ears to figure out that was good, that was bad. Increasingly, your fingers are less important and your ears are more important.
Mikey's vision for the future here is that craft, it's not going to be relevant. Deskilling, not going to be an issue, because in a world with infinite music generated by Suno, taste is going to be the ultimate driving factor of music production. There's a Rick Rubin interview with 60 Minutes that came out in 2023 where Rick famously says that he has no technical ability and knows nothing about music.
I have no technical ability, and I know nothing about music. You must know something. Well, I know what I like and what I don't like.
I think this interview had a lot of influence on Mikey, and therefore a lot of influence on the direction of the music industry, because Mikey imagines a world where we're all Rick Rubins with no technical ability, but a strong personal taste that can direct music.
I think that's actually a perfect analogy. Rick Rubin, can have people actually do all of the stuff for him. I think about this as a continuation of that, where you need even less emphasis on skills and more emphasis on your ears. It gets easier.
That's like what Rick Rubin is talking about there. It's funny because I think to a layman, like, oh, well, just like having taste is a whatever thing. Like that's probably way easier, more accessible than, actually being able to play an instrument. Like developing good taste is that's like such a skill. And like some people might never be able to develop like an appropriate taste to create or hear something or spot something or guide something, the creation of something. Like I guess it's kind of a meme thing he's saying like for the interview, but like having good taste is an infinitely enviable thing across any artistic domain. Jesus.
Easier and easier to create, and what that means is that you rely more and more on your ability to say, I like that, I don't like that.
There are a lot of people with great taste, great ideas in their head musically, and without the means to do it. And everybody has taste in music, even if they...
Like that's where he's using taste in very different ways, or kind of. There's like, I feel like a layman's version of taste is like, what kind of things do you like? That's it. And when we say good or bad taste, we mean like, oh, he likes things that are cool. Like the advanced version of taste is similar to that, but like having like a very refined taste, I don't know. I sound very pretentious right now. I can't put this into words. It's like one of the most enviable things I think of anybody in any art world, like just having good taste. And I don't know if it's a thing that you have naturally. I think that's a thing, you might have an inclination towards it, but that's the thing you have to develop. I don't think anybody has like good taste built into their head absent like the consumption of a huge amount of media. Like this is how you kind of develop, I think, your taste. So I don't know if you could just like, oh, this guy has such good taste in his head, but he doesn't know how to create anything and he's never watched anything or heard anything, but he's got such good taste. He might have like original ideas that by chance end up sounding good, but I don't know if I would say that's the same thing as like good taste.
They don't currently have mastered, production software like Ableton. Everybody has taste, and when you give everybody the ability to do that, everybody likes to do it.
How good taste is cultivated, or what it even means to have good taste, is not even really questioned by Mikey. He just assumes that because there's so much music, there's going to be a lot of good music that gets to the top. This is the second reason why people don't seem to have role models in this world. It's because role models have skills that inspire us. We're inspired by Jimi Hendrix's ability to play the guitar like that. His taste in music is kind of irrelevant. When the craft is irrelevant, on the other hand, so is the idea of the role model. There is no reason to look up to anybody when you can write prompts just as well as anybody else. There is no magic in what anybody else does. You don't get to look at another person and all the beautiful, inspiring greatness that they might have, because there, quite frankly, is no inspiring greatness here. And that
I think he's just trying to make an argument. I don't think we would disagree on this point, but like Hendrix's taste in pushing music forward and everything he did on the electric guitar was way more than just how good he was as a player. I'm not sure. I would have to ask her. I don't know if Jimi Hendrix was like an especially like ultra virtuous player. I thought he was known more for doing like innovative things with, especially the electric guitar, and kind of like pushing the genre of, I guess, like bluesy rock or whatever stuff before it. I don't listen to a lot of Jimi Hendrix music, but I don't know if he was known necessarily as being like, God, he just plays the fastest, fucking craziest shit. Just more that he was like a very innovative player. I think is my understanding of it, but I don't play guitar. Fuck guitar, losers.
That's sad, man. I love having role models, and I love being a role model to other people. And I hate that this is the future that Mikey Schulman imagines for young people and for the broader musical culture. And I also hate the fact that the CEO of the Grammys is now parroting Mikey Schulman's line about taste.
To me, if you're making music and you're using your discernment, your taste to decide what the AI should create for you, You're making music.
Being an arbiter of taste is going to be really, really important.
A human with great taste, learning to pull that out of the AI, and that is like a beautiful piece of music. You know, you can say that I had a part in that creation, or you can say that I didn't have a part in that creation.
What do you say?
I almost want to say I don't care what you think.
There's something pretty sinister about musicians nihilistically embracing their own deskilling. All of that skill that you require, the stuff that your role models and your elders had and passed down from generation to generation, you're throwing out because Mikey Schulman told you to.
If you look at like musicians like Wayne Brady, who can improvise a song off the top of their head, and you just see how incredible that is and how cool of an art form that is. It's like the pinnacle of improv comedy. It's these people who can improvise songs that are coherent and funny and rhyme and like actually sound like music. That is a great, joyous experience to watch. And you're just like, how? But then when you generate that, you get the yucks, yuck, but you don't get any of like the wonder of like, damn,
how did that happen?
Humans are smart, yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually an irrelevant question. It's like, I like that piece of music. It was good music. I felt like I enjoyed the process of making that piece of music, and maybe like, does it count that I made that music or not is irrelevant.
That's all you can credit yourself with in the end. If you use it to make your art, I think you just have to say, I'm a really good prompter. Yay me.
I didn't grow up dreaming of prompting. I grew up dreaming of shredding and, all the fun stuff.
I feel like there's something inseparable between art and humans. That intuitively, that just seems to be the case for me. Like, art requires, for something to be art, there's something more than just like a beautiful scene or a beautiful thing. Like, it needs like the intentionality of a human designer or creator. And it doesn't have to be a specific intentionality, but just the intention for a human to produce something seems to be pretty integral to calling something art. If there's anything that would underlie what art is, it's like that human intentionality aspect. And then it also seems to be somewhat virtuous as well, that creating music or creating art in general seems to like embody some kind of virtue. It is honorific to like the human capacity for art and creation and everything else. And it seems a little impossible to totally divorce humans from all of that. Like, I think intuitively, if I showed you a bunch of music and then I told you afterwards this music was generated by a computer with absolutely no input from a human whatsoever, I think you would view it, I think you would have a different view of it. There might be some context where you don't care. If it's like a background song or whatever, you just don't give a fuck. But I do think it meaningfully changes the way that we engage with the art itself.
That was my dream. And I hope that, I hope that people continue to dream of shredding instead of dream of prompting.
Yeah, me too.
Can art not be found in nature? No, I don't think so. I don't generally think we view it that way. We might have like limited examples of this where we would say like, like a hummingbird song. Or no, hummingbirds don't sing, do they? Well, they're hummingbirds. Or is that just because they flap their wings? I don't know. Some fucking bird singing or whatever. Oh, their song, maybe or whatever. But I think in general, we view art. If there was any qualifier for what is art, if you were to ever have a requirement for it, that foundational, fundamental requirement would be it requires some type of human intentionality. It doesn't have to be the intention to make it art or the intention to make it beautiful or the intention for somebody to interpret it a certain way or whatever, but just it's a deliberate, intentional thing that a person is setting out to create for whatever reason or whatever, even if like that's it, I think that has to be there. What about a nature photographer? Yeah, but I mean, look at what you're asking, right? A guy who chooses to frame a scene in nature, who chooses to there's an intentionality there to take the photograph.
Okay, I'm done talking about Mikey Schulman for right now. Let's talk about somebody maybe a little bit more interesting. Let's talk about Arthur C. Clarke. Arthur C. Clarke was one of the great science fiction visionaries of the 20th century. He predicted many aspects of our modern lives, including the internet and email. He's probably most famous for writing 2001: A Space Odyssey, but he also wrote collections of speculative short stories, including 1957's Tales from the White Heart. Now, in this book, there's a short story entitled The Ultimate Melody, where a researcher tries to find a melody that perfectly fits the electrical rhythms of the human brain. To do this, he builds a melody-generating machine that he trains on, quote, hundreds of the really famous tunes in classical and popular music, which sounds honestly a bit prescient, right? Maybe off by an order of magnitude or two, but hey, it's in the ballpark. Now, it's warned that this melody-generating machine will put every composer in the world out of business, which hasn't come true yet, but given Arthur C. Clarke's track record, we may have cause to worry. Now, believe it or not, I have been on YouTube for 20 years now, longer than some of you may have been alive. And in that time, I've actually made quite a few predictions about how AI will change music in the future. Well, it is the future now, and so I thought it would be fun to look back at some of my predictions to see what I got right and what I got wrong. In other words, did I do Arthur C. Clarke proud? The first video I did was a Q&A from 6 years ago talking about copyright and AI, asking the question, who gets to own the copyright to an AI composition? In that video, I had this spicy prediction?
So I'm sure within the next 5 to 10 years, one of the rent-seeking parasites that are the major music labels will figure out a way of owning the copyright to AI music in a way that totally perverts the idea that copyright is a means of protecting labor.
Suno has recently struck a license partnership with Warner Chappell. Universal Music Group has struck a similar deal with Udio. All three major music labels, Sony, Warner Chappell, and Universal Music Group,
companies
have
will
signed
make
a deal
money?
with Play, a startup which uses generative AI to remix songs in of Suno. So, let's get into it. Maybe good use of Suno, number 1. Music therapy.
If you're a Suno creator who wants to make music that truly matters, we want you. Help us bring healing through music to more people who need it.
Anecdotally, I've heard from some music therapists who have used...
Anecdotally? What?
Help us bring healing through music to more people who need it.
Anecdotally, I've heard from some music therapists who have used Suno in their practice to positive results. Now, I can't say what the field of music therapy in general thinks of this, so please take this with a grain of salt, but I think that could potentially be a good use for this technology.
We've partnered with a charity who was already using Suno, connecting volunteers to make personalized songs.
Oh, this is cringe. This is like a get me, like, oh, it's good for therapy. Oh my God. Okay. What next is going to be like, maybe Suno music can help cats feel at ease in new environments so kitties will play with each other. Okay.
For sick kids.
Suno itself has partnered with Songs of Love, a charity that pairs songwriters with both children with serious illnesses and now older patients with dementia and Alzheimer's. Kenneth Egan says that a song with biographical elements says that you're being seen and you're being heard by other human beings. If this weird doo-wop music can get patients with Alzheimer's to reconnect with their memories, I mean, I could see how this could be a good thing. Maybe. Songs of Love has been a charity for a long time, actually, and used to do it the old-fashioned way with songwriters writing 46,000 personalized songs prior to the adoption of Suno.
David Lee Roth in the house tonight with a song of love for Ashley.
David Lee Roth recorded a song for 7-year-old Ashley battling leukemia.
There's no way he's going to get through this whole video without mentioning the Charlie Kirk song, right?
Which is honestly pretty charming song.
Look and go, and she's starting to rock. Think about the horses that she rides.
I love this because it's actually David Lee Roth singing to a young Ashley, and he's clearly having a lot of fun with it. The question now is, would it have been the same if it was an artificially generated David Lee Roth? Would Ashley have felt as special? Maybe. You could get into some utilitarian arguments about maximizing joy, like, yeah, maybe Ashley is not going to feel as special, but now many thousands of other sick kids can feel a little bit more special with this uncanny David Lee Roth singing at them, I guess. It's not very convincing, but hey, you could make that argument. Maybe good use of Suno, number 2, memorization tool. There's this goofy AI channel on TikTok that creates pop songs that list technical information about a variety of very specific topics that likely would not have had wide appeal as pop songs.
The inventor of the road roller was a genius. He made a 20-ton machine create 60 tons of force.
These songs have apparently gotten stuck in people's heads.
The inventor of the road roller is a genius. He made a 20-ton machine create 60 tons of force.
And also apparently have inspired people to make their own non-AI technical songs in the style.
About how soap works, how does it so easily remove the dirt from your hands? Well, the secret lies in the molecular formula.
My question is this a good thing? Do you think that is a good use of AI?
I think it's actually a very fun use of AI.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. Like, I can't deny that.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me because it's something that tracks the way in which the Greeks used.
Always goes back to the Greeks. Always goes back to the Greeks.
The Greeks did AI?
The reason why
Yeah, right.
bards or rhapsodes could remember the Iliad and the Odyssey, which are very, very long poems, is because they were put into a rhythm. In the rhythm, and they had like basically a rhyming, a verse. Some scholars think that this is the way in which the Greeks...
Hold on. Retard question. Did the Greeks that speak Greek, is that language the same as like Greek today? Or is it totally different? Like when people say Old English, they are talking about Shakespeare. But I think the actual like Old English language, it looks more similar to German than English. Like if you're a fluent English speaker, you can't read and understand Old English. It just looks like nonsense or gibberish or whatever. Is like Old Greek and the Greek today, is it like as different or? No, it's literally ancient Greek, the later Latin. No. Somebody said, of course. Then they said, not the same. Kind of, yeah, hell nah. It's the same, just evolved. Old Greek is like trying to read Beowulf in its original form, but for Greek. Yeah, like I don't think you can read Beowulf as an English speaker in the original English. Written, yes. Spoken, no. I took ancient Greek in college. Really? English is uniquely different because our language got raped by the French. Okay. All right, hold on one second.
Share information between among themselves. Someone wrote something, a passage, make it part of a poem, and then basically spread it around through rhapsodes or poets.
Scientists hypothesize that earworms have an evolutionary benefit for memory, a means of remembering information and then passing it down from generation to generation. Like the Griots of West Africa, the Norse skalds, and yes, the Greek rhapsodes, we have maintained our oral history using music as an information delivery mechanism. Some people seem to be using Suno as a study tool, hoping to manufacture earworms to remember important information, essentially using Suno as a fancy text-to-speech. If you repeat something with a melody, you are more likely to remember it. If you repeat something with a melody, you are more likely to remember it. If you repeat something with a melody, you are more likely to remember it. If you repeat something with a melody, you are more likely to remember it. Repetition legitimizes. With a melody, you are more likely to remember it. There are, of course, problems here. You could easily weaponize this with misinformation. You could get the wrong information stuck in people's heads, which almost seems like an information hazard. But that was the case before AI, too. We should always be careful with what songs we listen to and get stuck in our heads, AI or otherwise. Food for thought. If you repeat something with a melody, you are more likely to remember it. Maybe good use of Suno. Number 3. Democratizer of music. Much has been said about how AI will democratize the arts. You don't have to be a member of a privileged class now to make music.
There's the artist class, and then there's the rest of us. There's the creators and there's the consumers.
Anybody can make music. Power to the people. There are 2 obvious objections here. The first is that the people do not own the means of production. Suno does. If Suno's website goes down, the people are powerless. Truly democratizing music would be investing heavily in music in the public schools so that everybody has access to quality music education. But beyond that, though, the second objection here is that the barriers to entry are often not that high. Again, Ethan Hein has some great insight.
What about lowering technical barriers to creativity? The thing is, those barriers are 1 inch tall. If you can play the black keys on the piano, or play a single chord on the guitar or ukulele, or select loops from the GarageBand loop library, or pound out a steady rhythm on a table, that is all the instrumental backing you need to get going. The obstacles to musical creativity have nothing to do with equipment or money or education or anything else. They are 100% psychological. The challenge of music education is to help the kids give themselves emotional permission to be as musical as they were when they were toddlers. Everything else is extra.
This term emotional permission, I think, cuts to the core of why Suno is so popular. Generative AI gives people the emotional permission to make music that they didn't have before. Young children, of course, have no shame when they make up songs and are artistic, but that somehow gets beaten out of us.
If there aren't enough instances of casual, familial, or communal art making in somebody's life, then it seems like this thing that's reserved only for the blessed few who have like this divine, like, yes, you're the one kind of thing put on them. You're the one who gets to do this.
There's this idea promoted by Stephen Mithin in his book Singing Neanderthals, which suggests that we developed the ability to sing songs to each other before we developed language as we know it today. It's an interesting idea which suggests that there's this deep evolutionary need to sing songs to each other to make sense of the world around us.
This kind of basic human instinct to want to make something beautiful and show it to people. And if technology can be a means to that end of making a song that sounds beautiful, that sounds like you, even if you don't have the best voice right now, like why wouldn't we let people do that?
So, maybe Suno democratizes music in the sense that it gives people permission to make music, to make sense of the world around them in a way that society, for whatever reason, has denied them. And I don't know, maybe that can be a good thing. Maybe that can be very healing for people, and maybe it can lead them to other musical exploits away from generative AI. I don't know. Mikey, in this case, is very good at identifying a social problem. We deserve to feel like we are safe in making music without being shamed by society or our friends or our parents even.
And there's an element of shame here that, I think about this a lot, having young kids who actually don't have, that element of shame. Like, kids will just sing for no reason, and I think it's beautiful, and somehow culture beats this out of us that, like, it's okay to sing wherever you are, and we can bring that back.
However, because he's a capitalist, his job is not to solve the issue, but to find a way to sell you a solution to the issue, even if there might be a better solution out there. This is what every tech capitalist does, by the way. There might be a social issue like horrible traffic and terrible urban design, and the solution is trains, because of course the solution is trains, something that is old and proven and we know how to do. But since the idea is old, it can't be sold to venture capital. The idea needs to be new and fresh and exciting. So as a result, as society goes on, we get dumber and dumber solutions to problems that have already been fixed. There is a social need for people to make music.
Okay, listen, I'm all for bashing these people, okay? But like, at some point, and it can't just be conservatives that do this. At some point, we have to talk about the consumer, okay? Because the only reason why all these crazy tech losers are able to make all this money is because the consumer is definitionally a lazy, unvirtuous piece of shit who wants the easiest, lowest friction, most retard accessible thing that they can possibly have. And we can't just continue to blame the corporations and the billionaires over and over and over again for this. At some point, we have to take responsibility as consumers and our culture and say we should demand more for ourselves, something more fulfilling and not just hedonistic, or something more with a greater amount of friction that requires more effort or whatever to consume or enjoy than just the most base level fulfillment of desire or whatever, right? That's at some point, I don't know, whatever.
The solution is investing in music in public schools, and the dumb solution is Suno. This is why Mikey spends so many hours talking to investors, not musicians or educators or public policy advocates. He wants to get money, not improve society. And one way to get money is to sell your ideas to investors who think they themselves can get money. But I will give it to Mikey, though. I don't think that he's in it purely for the money. I think he genuinely is passionate about music. He recognizes the responsibility of Suno and other companies to try and build a better future for the technology.
We have an incredibly lucky and privileged position to be at the forefront of shaping the future of music and AI. And we should not take that for granted, and we should be a little bit intimidated by that. But we should also really believe in human agency and our ability to shape it in the way that we want it to happen.
I would hope he considers a future that focuses more on craft and not just taste. But, you know, maybe you'll be okay. I don't know. There are a lot of passionate people who really care about music working at Suno, and maybe it's going to be fine. I don't know.
We are hiring primarily people who have thought about what the future of music should be and how technology can enable a better future, and who are not agnostic or music decels, if you want to use like a weird term.
But what about this model thing?
Wait, hold on.
Music decels, if you want to use like a weird term.
Music decels?
Wait, what was that even in reference to?
Who are not agnostic or music decels, if you people who have thought about what the future of music should be and how technology can enable a better future, and who are not agnostic or music decels, if you want to use like a weird term.
But what about this model thing?
Wait, hold on.
Music decels.
Don't be a
if you
music
want to use, like, a
decel.
weird term.
Music decels?
Where do you find these
The year
expired
was
respirators?
1909.
It's got to be the med bay,
The
I
world
think,
was
right?
brimming with exciting new technologies. The automobile and the radio were only a decade old, and aviation was even younger. A young Italian poet by the name of Filippo Marinetti, giddy with the possibilities of this technology, penned a manifesto outlining the tenets of what would eventually become known as Italian futurism. We declare that the splendor of the world has been enriched by a new beauty, the beauty of speed. We will sing of the multicolored and polyphonic surf of revolutions in modern capitals, the nocturnal vibration of the arsenals and the workshops beneath their violent electric moons, the gluttonous railway stations devouring smoking serpents, factories suspended from the clouds by a thread of their smoke. Italian futurism advocated for artists to break from tradition entirely and embrace the future, embrace technology as an aesthetic, something that could be beautiful and was aspirational. They held that a roaring car that seems to ride on grapeshot is more beautiful than the victory of Samothrace. And yeah, when you look at futurist paintings of cars, they look absolutely sick. Boo, Italian sculpture. Yeah, Italian cars on the right. Futurists created these bright, garish, heightened versions of the trendy cubist style that was so popular at the time. Everything was about showing how awesome progress was. For example, Marinetti published a cookbook that argued against eating pasta. Yes, an Italian arguing against eating pasta, because pasta was passé and turned people into heavy brutes. Progress was ultimately everything. Tradition was a trap. Now fast forward a century, and we have another manifesto from some very forward-thinking folks. 2023's Techno-Optimist manifesto, written by Mark Andreessen, embraces a very similar worldview to the Italian futurists. We believe in the romance of technology, of industry, the eros of the train, the car, the electric light, the skyscraper, and the microchip, the neural network, the rocket, the split atom. In fact, Andreessen directly cites and paraphrases Marinetti and his futurist manifesto.
Okay, but here's the issue with these tech fucking losers, okay? And maybe I'm unfair to Andreessen, and it just happens to be that every single thing I've heard from him is the most retarded fucking thing in the fucking universe, okay? But, like, none of these people are cool or hip, or they don't have any, like, cool or hip ideas. It doesn't seem like it just seems like they push the most slop fucking... What are you looking for? Oh, never mind. Nope. Thank you, though.
I can't give this thing away, dude. Everybody's got it.
Yeah, because everybody's got that, you fucking retard, fucking loser. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like these guys don't have any taste at all. Our technocrats are losers. In the past, the technocrats were cool people. They were trying to do like crazy cool shit. I guess arguably Elon kind of did, although I don't even know how much credit I should give Elon for anything anymore. This guy seems like a fucking retard. Like, I wonder how much it was Elon that did Tesla or SpaceX, and not just him just buying a company that was already like on that path anyway. I have no idea. That guy's so fucking stupid. I can never tell anymore. Maybe Mark Andreessen has some cool ideas, but I don't know. I feel like every time I hear him talk, it just sounds like a loser and retard and uninspired and dull and flat and cringe and conehead.
Andreessen is clearly fond of the aggressive, forward-thinking ethos of the Italian futurists. Borrowing a term from the accelerationist philosopher Nick Land, Andreessen uses the phrase techno-capital to describe the engine of perpetual material creation, growth, and abundance. Andreessen argues that technology and its relationship to free markets is the thing that will solve all of humanity's problems. Any attempts at restricting technology or restricting markets will ultimately be harmful. We believe that any deceleration of AI will cost lives. Deaths that were preventable by the AI that was prevented from existing is a form of murder. Now, Andreessen is a Silicon Valley venture capitalist, so it would make sense that he thinks along these lines. He was a co-founder of Netscape and is a co-partner at venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz, also known as A16Z. For the past 2 decades, he has had an enormous influence in Silicon Valley culture. He has been called the Obi-Wan to Mark Zuckerberg's Luke Skywalker. So all that to say, when Mark Andreessen writes manifestos, people take that seriously. Now, one of his recurring ideas that relate in some ways to his manifesto is something called reality privilege.
It's called reality privilege.
See, like, I feel like there was a class of cool billionaires, maybe Elon counts here, but like Zuckerberg, and like in the startup of Facebook, did a lot of work to create the first iteration of Facebook and wasn't heavily involved in the creation, not just like a VC dude that came in and bought up shit. And I feel like Bezos was the same for Amazon. You could argue like, yeah, people like Steve Jobs, people like Bill Gates, arguably were heavily involved in these like early processes of getting these things off the ground, both like in business strategy, but also in working, more closely with the things that were actually the products that these companies were selling. I don't know. I get weird vibes from all these techno hedge fund fucking losers. It don't seem like they could literally do anything with like any level of competency at all. They all feel like fucking, God, they just feel like such boring fucking losers, dude. Like, I feel like if I were to go back into the past and talk to some fucking oil baron and like go see his like 22-year-old child, that this guy would be well educated. He'd be really well read. He'd be like, oh, is that a piano? And he would just be able to play whatever because it's just like part of their training as children. Like, they would just be like better human beings. Like, God, I just feel like a fucking loser next to this guy. He could do everything. And then like these technocratic losers are like, actually, I think it's cool to wear sweatpants everywhere because I'm rebelling against the man. And also, I got a lot of money and look at this really cool thing I asked Grok. And I think it's just so cool to, do like what the kids like today and AI. And it's like, what the fuck are you, bro? Like, you're just so... I don't know. I should stop hedging. I don't think I am missing anything. I think our technocrats today suck. They're boring, shitty, annoying fucking people that divorced from their money. I just feel, ugh.
A small percent of people live in a real-world environment that's rich, even overflowing, with glorious substance, beautiful settings, plentiful stimulation, and many fascinating people to talk to and to work with and to date. Everyone else, the vast majority of humanity, lacks reality privilege. Their online world is, or will be, immeasurably richer and more fulfilling than most of the physical and social environments around them in the quote-unquote real world.
For the 0.0001% of the population of the world who gets to do all those things, then this internet thing is a big step down. For everybody else, the internet is a giant step up.
Now, Andreessen identifies inequality in the world, and to him, remember, technology and capitalism can fix everything. So the solution here is technological. The world can be fixed with a digital existence. The metaverse, in other words.
Today, we're going to talk about the metaverse.
The techno-capitalist solution to inequality in the world was Facebook's hard pivot into building the virtual world of the metaverse. Mark Andreessen is on the board of directors at Meta, which probably explains why Mark Zuckerberg suddenly thought building a crappier version of Second Life was a good idea. Technology, of course, solves all problems. Now, Andreessen knows that all of this kind of feels
like... What? I hate all this shit, the metaverse and all the fucking VR shit. I don't know if VR will ever catch on. It seems like there have been so many times where people are like, this is it. This is the time. And everybody's like praying that like they're the ones that have cracked it. I remember the last iteration of the what were they called? It wasn't the Apple 3D. I don't know what the fuck they were called. Those giant fucking Apple goggles. Be like, oh my God, this is it. Now we've finally done it. This is fucking awesome. It's like, oh, no, not yet. Not yet. But I respect Zuckerberg for at least trying and for sticking his neck out there. Like, we created a whole new fucking thing and goddamn did it fail fucking miserably. Did they basically kill the whole metaverse project? Is that gone? They sunk so much money in that. But hey, it was ambitious. He tried a thing. I respect it. I respect it.
Bleak. But he has a response for you. The reality privileged, of course, call this conclusion dystopian and demand that we prioritize improvements in reality over improvements in virtuality. To which I say, reality has had 5,000 years to get good and is clearly still woefully lacking for most people. I don't think we should wait another 5,000 years to see if it eventually closes the gap. We should build, and are building, online worlds that make life and work and love wonderful for everyone, no matter what level of reality deprivation they should find themselves in. So Andreessen finds this inequality a matter of natural law, something that we...
What? We should build, and we are building online worlds that make life and work and love wonderful for everyone, no matter what level of reality deprivation they find themselves in. Okay.
Or what level of reality deprivation they should find themselves in. So Andreessen finds this inequality a matter of natural law, something that we simply cannot change. Some of us are reality privileged and some of us are not. Some of us have great and amazing skills, like the ability to make music and make art. And some people don't. Some people are reality disprivileged.
We are in the business of selling pleasurable musical experiences to people.
Thank God for consumer-grade generative AI. Technology will save the day here. If, like Rosie Wynn says, you did not grow up with music lessons, or if you didn't grow up with a musical community or a musical family, or if you're somebody who just doesn't have the skills to make music, it's okay. Music is no longer the domain of the reality privilege. You too now can make music. You too, my reality disprivileged friend, can now have meaningful consumption experiences.
I want a meaningful consumption
Lightspeed Ventures writes about fictional reality, where online tools let people who are reality deprived live heightened versions of their offline selves. People are crafting new versions of themselves online for positive reasons, such as to express creativity, gain confidence, or to share a part of their identity or interest that they aren't able to showcase in the offline world. Venture capitalists like Andreessen believe in this vision of using consumer generative AI to bridge the gap between the privileged and the disprivileged. They have a real stake in this. Andreessen Horowitz is one of the lead investors in Udio, the other popular commercial gen AI company. Fictional reality buff Michael McNano is one of the lead investors investors in Suno with his firm Lightspeed Ventures. In fact, that is Michael interviewing Mikey Schulman in this podcast, which brings us back to the phrase that Mikey Schulman used, which was music decel.
Or music decels, if you want to use like a weird term.
Mikey has
I'll
used
be a
the
music
term
decel
several times in the podcast.
I'll be a loser, guys.
They don't want to sound like decels. They don't want to sound like hermits.
Decel is a portmanteau of decelerationist and incel. It's a derogatory term much like the term Luddite used in tech circles for people who advocate for AI safety and ethics. The term decel is most associated with effective accelerationism, or
What about my Google glasses? Listen, not even from a perverted perspective. I am so curious what the ordinary human being thinks of when they see Google glasses, because the only thing that I can think of is like creepy dudes trying to fucking take candid images of women. Like the idea of like, I have a top secret set of recording devices on my fucking head and nobody knows anyway. That just seems like a super crazy, weird, creepy, I don't know. Maybe the ordinary consumer doesn't see it that way, but that just seems crazy to me.
For short. Decels are despised by the EACs, who advocate for an extreme acceleration of technological development.
EAC, the movement that is advocating for rapid acceleration of artificial intelligence.
That's Michael McNano interviewing Beth Bezos, aka Guillaume Verdon, CEO of Extropic. Beth Bezos is listed at the top of Marc Andreessen's patron saints of techno-optimism, alongside Adam Smith and Ada Lovelace. Beth Bezos is a Twitter personality who writes very frequently about EAC. Effective accelerationism, EAC, is a set of ideas and practices that seek to maximize the probability of the techno-capital singularity, and subsequently, the ability for emergent consciousnesses to flourish. EAC is obsessed with this idea of technological advancement, to the point where they very seriously start talking about creating new life. It's very Frankenstein. Techno-capital can usher in the next evolution of consciousness, creating unthinkable next-generation life forms and silicon-based awareness. Borrowing again from Nick Land, this movement thinks that capitalism itself is sentient, and capitalism is artificial intelligence reaching backwards in time to construct itself in hostile territory. Some truly insane shit, honestly. Nat Friedman, by the way.
Yeah?
Investor in Suno.
Whoa!
Now, I can't say if Mikey Schulman believes any of the wackier ideas of EAC, but I can definitely say that he is part of this culture that...
I've come out with a second ultra-hot anti-capitalist take. I just think of these just to trigger the fuck out of Metalloid. My first one, okay? Companies should not be able to sell to other companies, okay? Everybody hates my take on that. Good. And by everybody, I just mean the few business people that care. Companies should not be able to sell to other companies. Second take, you should only be able to be involved with a maximum number of companies at one point in time. 5. That's the number, okay? 5 companies at once. No more, this guy is an investor or sits on the board of 750 different fucking tech companies. I don't need to see Peter Thiel's name on every single fucking company that has an office in San Francisco. We don't need that, okay? Fuck, that's bullshit. Find a few companies, go be on those boards and do stuff with them. No more sitting on the boards of no more the same 12 people are affiliated with 2,000 businesses. That's retarded, okay? Those are my 2 big market shake-up takes, okay?
Despises decels and worships progress at all costs. Which reminds me, whatever happened to those Italian futurists which love the future and progress at all costs?
They all became return to traditionists in 10 years.
Hopefully something good. In 1919, Filippo Marinetti published another manifesto, the Manifesto of the Italian Fasces of Combat, better known today as the Fascist Manifesto. This laid the political groundwork for the rise of the Italian Fascist Party and Benito Mussolini. Futurism and its love of progress over all else provided a very useful aesthetic cover for the fascists. It created a sharp aesthetic contrast between the backwards old liberal order and the exciting new technological order of the future. I mean, that race car really did look cool. Aesthetics are convincing. Marinetti himself served in Mussolini's government. The futurists made art with political aims.
Based?
For example, that futurist cookbook, the one that argued against pasta, that was part of Mussolini's battle for grain.
Never mind, not based.
A campaign to get Italians to consume less grain, less pasta, to establish economic independence. So you have the futurists aligned with the fascists creating art in service of a socio-political agenda.
And again, there you kind of observe it, and you're like, wow, the leading AI infrastructure companies are growing revenues incredibly quickly.
Marc Andreessen and much.
God, I hate this fucking guy. Somebody link me in chat the best thing this guy's ever said, so I can just not hate him as much as I do. God, I hate this guy.
Of the Silicon Valley billionaire class have aligned themselves with ascendant right-wing populism in the United States.
You want to immediately improve the cultural output of the United States? There needs to be a one-time, 100% tax on any person that's ever said anything positive about cryptocurrency, okay? One time, 100% tax. Seize all their wealth. If they're so fucking smart, they'll make it back, okay?
The same way the futurists align themselves with Mussolini. Andreessen thinks of Marinetti as a patron saint of techno-optimism and has largely modeled his trajectory into political power. Andreessen served as a, quote, unpaid intern at Doge in the early days of the second Trump administration.
How might you apply AI to solve, for example, the fraud scandal? And it's like, oh, okay, well, I need to think about how to have AI solve this. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, why don't I ask the AI?
That worked real well.
Right.
Maybe we should ask the AI how to replace you, okay? Do you ever think of that? How about instead of Marc Andreessen, let's just make Mark AI, okay? And then you can be gone, and we'll just query your fucking retarded AI, okay? And we don't have to see you anymore.
serving in the Trump administration's Homeland Security Advisory Council, advising Department of Homeland Security Kristi Noem.
Wait, who? No.
He's currently serving in the Trump administration.
Ugh.
Homeland Security Advisory Council, advising Department of Homeland Security Kristi Noem on, quote, sensitive discussions regarding DHS operations. Techno-capitalism.
Bro, the tech billionaires, the tech finance crypto billionaires are the equivalent to the girls on Fresh and Fit, okay? Where these guys sell you this hyper misogynistic, horrible view of women. And it's like, really? That's how you view? But like, if you were to watch the women on Fresh and Fit every day, you're like, damn, I don't know, maybe all women are fucking terrible. If I only had exposure to these tech crypto finance billionaires, I would be on the eat all billionaires train, okay? Because these guys are the worst of humanity. God, I hate them so much. Ugh. They're just so boring. Like, what's like the coolest thing that Elon Musk can do? Like, what's one cool thing? Can he like do parkour or paint a picture or play an instrument? Can he do anything? He wasn't even that good at Path of Exile. He tried to lie to us all about it. Besides ketamine, Bill Gates could jump over a chair. That was cool.
Is all too happy to align itself with right-wing authoritarianism if it means the future can come faster. Accelerate or die is the motto of this movement. Great and terrible things are sometimes necessary if the future can be made to come faster.
The AI thing was very alarming. We had meetings this spring that were the most alarming meetings I've ever been in. Where they were taking us through their plans. Full government control.
Then when you leave a meeting like that, what do?
You go endorse Donald Trump.
Part of the techno-capitalist political project is the establishment of what are called network states. These are anarcho-capitalist startup societies ruled by philosopher king CEOs, basically turning major cities in the United States into fiefdoms ruled by techno-capitalists. A big proponent of this network state idea is venture capitalist Gary Tan, who is famous for battling the San Francisco political establishment for local control of the city.
We can't allow the political machine to just get the worst possible outcomes. Let's create more technological process. We have to accelerate through this.
An important aspect of this is building an alternative political apparatus that circumvents the democratic process, establishing techno-capitalists as barons of fiefdoms.
We've talked about how we've replaced some pieces of that political machine. Specifically, we have a parallel media now with Elon's Twitter or X. Getting a parallel media was a key piece, and it wasn't done through voting, it was by building.
Generative AI is important in the establishment of these new political systems.
We need to replace the unelected parts of the system as well. Building parallel education, nonprofits, media, unions, and that's what the Network State Conference is about.
One of the parallel education systems that Gary Tan is invested in is Obo, a generative AI company designed to generate personalized courses for individuals. Obo was founded by fictional reality buff Michael McNano.
Hot take. The world would be better if more of these guys were like Jeffrey Epstein, okay? If you just went to an island somewhere and fucked a kid, we would be better off, okay? Maybe we do need more pedo rings, okay? Just go be a degenerate in your own time and don't destroy my country, my society, my culture with your crazy, horrible ideas about politics. Just go be a normal weirdo.
It recently had a Series A investment from Andreessen Horowitz. And oh, would you look at that, Mikey Schulman. Now,
is that the
I'm
guy?
Not sure
the
if
music
Mikey
guy?
Schulman is aware of any of the illiberal political machinations of his co-investors. But what I am sure of is that money that goes to Suno and these companies in the commercial generative AI space and music goes towards building this techno-capitalist idea of a parallel musical system, the same way that they are building parallel education systems and systems of government. Which means that after today, I no longer want to hear anybody make the comparison between generative AI in music and any of the other disruptive technologies in music. Because the fascists, or at least the people that have taken...
Oh my God. This was so cringe, bro. Just a normal day, and Elon Musk is aura farming by balancing a fork and 2 spoons on his fingertip and breaking the internet. Even baby mama Shivan can't help but be impressed by the things that you learn in high school. Like he's acting like he's looking at the most interesting thing he's ever seen. Bro, kill me. Do you see his eyes? You can't see it because the resolution's too low. His eyes are looking at the corner. He's like, is everybody else seeing this shit? Everybody else seeing this shit right now? I hate my life. I'm sorry. And they have no taste. Look at this background. Is this even real? It's probably not even a real fucking background. It's probably an AI fucking background. Oh God, kill me!
Great pains to show that they are indeed the spiritual successors of the Italian fascists, have selected their tool of wealth extraction and political coercion And it isn't MIDI. You feel me? There's a clear right and wrong here. This is an unprecedented time in the music industry. And so the question that I have to the musicians who continue to advocate for these kinds of companies is quite simple. I know what side I'm on here.
Do you?
Do you?
Whoa!
Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you be a man? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on?
When confronted with the enormity of all of this, it can be a bit overwhelming, and I can see musicians going one of two ways. The first option, and the option that I think a lot of musicians will take, is what I'm going to call the Harvey Mason Jr. approach. To protect musicians, we need to embrace the technology at every moment so that we are not made obsolete. We all want to work. We saw what happened with MIDI sequencing. We saw what happened with the adoption of digital audio workstations. And so we need to survive. We need to adopt generative AI workflows, and we need to adopt them right now. We have no option but to bend the knee to Mark Andreessen and fictional reality and EAC and all of that and just accept it, right? But there is another option, which I think is maybe a bit more hopeful.
The proposal for a post-human future is one where there will be human beings who will just be treated inhumanely. We're not going to stop making people or humans. They're just saying we're not going to treat you as humans. And I refuse. And I think that we all can. I think that being Black is an act of refusal. I think we know how to refuse. I think everybody else needs to learn it from us. I think refusing is actually the more hopeful, expansive vision of the future than the one that is telling us that the future is already settled and decided. That's my daring idea. Just say no.
Now, one way of refusing, of course, is to refuse to use AI tools in music and the arts, which sure you can do that, but I feel like that's not quite
realistic.
That's not quite it. I think for me, though, a more meaningful approach would be to take a look at the values of our techno-feudalist overlords and invert them, change them to be something more meaningful. Going back to the values on Suno's website, we see music, impatience, aesthetics, and fun. Now, music, to me, is not a value. It's a reflection of a deeper value. I think about why I do music. You know, it's exciting. It gives me purpose, direction. And also, I find enormous value in sharing that excitement with other people so that they, too, might have that kind of burning drive that I feel. I think about how important it is to serve a community in pursuit of this meaningful art that is called music. And so for me, I think I'm going to change music as a value to service to a community. Impatience, as we've already discussed, is not a value. Speed to its own end leads to alienation, and yeah, we don't want that. So I'm going to change impatience to patience. Moderation seems like something that I value. Aesthetics is a tricky one because I place a lot of value on beauty and trying to bring beauty out into the world. But to me, the way that that is done, that attention to detail, that dedication, comes mainly from craft. I hold craft and people who dedicate themselves to the pursuit of craft in such high regards. And so instead of aesthetics, I think craft is my virtue. And fun, well, focusing so much on a techno-capitalist view of what fun is how we get meaningful consumption experiences, an approach to music that is so utterly devoid of life and soul. Instead of fun, I offer beauty. Beautiful things can be fun, can be joyful, but they can also be sad and depressing. They can really hurt you too. But ultimately, that unbridled joy that I get from a dedication to community, patience, craft, and beauty is the thing that I am trying to cultivate in the world. So yeah, service, patience, craft, and beauty. That is how I'm going to articulate my values in contrast to the techno-capitalists.
Wow. Beautiful.
In 1911, an early Italian filmmaker by the name of Ricciotto Canudo wrote a slightly less evil early 20th century Italian manifesto. Those Italians and their manifestos, you gotta watch out for them. In this manifesto, confusingly called Birth of the Sixth Art because he eventually amended the number of arts, but anyway, Canudo classifies the arts. First, there are the rhythmic arts, which are music, poetry, and dance. Then there are the plastic arts, which are architecture, sculpture, and painting. And finally, there is the new art, cinema. This is a very influential idea in art theory, but it is a very Eurocentric one. For example, there are many cultures, like in West Africa, which view music and dance as kind of a continuum of the same thing. And in fact, even within contemporary Western culture, there's some odd discrepancies here with how we classify the arts. For example, and I've been thinking a lot about this one with regards to AI, why are live music and recorded music considered a continuum of the same thing, whereas cinema and theater are considered two separate art forms? Like, think about that. Cinema and theater both tell stories. There are actors who act, there are scenes where things happen in them, there are costumes, there are sets, there are directors, sound people, lighting people, there are scripts with narrative form that usually last between 2 and 3 hours. They're honestly very similar art forms, so what is the difference? Well,
I'm curious what he would say to that. I feel like they're almost different. I feel like they're almost completely different art forms. Theater and cinema, because in cinema you have a camera and that's what you're watching. You're watching the screen, you're watching whatever the director's putting on camera, and that changes so much, right? You can play with time, you can show something that would take like hours or days or whatever to change from one set to another, versus theater is like, it all has to be in front. I feel like they're both visual, I guess, like you see them, and I guess there's some relation there. You've got like actors and dialogue and everything else, but I feel like these are very, very, very different art forms. As opposed to live music and recorded music, I feel like these are much more similar. Like a band recording in a studio is similar-ish to like a band performing live. Like there's way more similarity there between a theater performance versus like the final cut of a movie, I think.
Of course, they are different crafts because of the technology of the camera. Cinema actors have to perform to the camera, which requires a more subtle sensibility than theatrical actors who have to perform to the rafters, which requires a more heightened approach. The craft of editing gives filmmakers a huge amount of control over the pace of the action.
Yeah,
it also gives filmmakers the ability to show things that theatrical audiences simply could not see. Live theater, on the other hand, is much more intimate from an audience's perspective. You're actually seeing the actors perform there with your own eyes. The performance can change night to night. There might be mistakes. There's this kind of thrill in the impermanence of what you're seeing before you. This is the exact same dynamic between live music and recorded music. When you see music live, like theater, it feels raw and intimate. Whereas recorded music, like cinema, lets people do things with sound that they would never be able to do in a live situation. There is such a fundamentally different craft to recording and production. Just because you're a great producer doesn't mean that you can put on a great live show.
That's
just
true.
Because you can play guitar really well doesn't mean that you know how to write a song and create a great recorded piece of music. But despite this, we generally think of seeing like the live version of a recorded song. They're kind of in the same continuum. We don't think of going to the theater as seeing like the live version of a movie.
I don't think you could see like a live version of a movie, right? You would have to totally rework the thing into a totally different thing. That was very, like, it would just be, and some stuff might not even carry over. For music, I think you generally carries over much more easily. Some fucking retard is going to tell me, studio, this time is done. Yeah, sure it is, but like it's much more easily transferable than like a film. Like, think of the most complicated musical thing from recording studio to live performance is going to be easier than fucking doing Sloppenheimer, as a theater performance. You're going to have to rework the whole fucking thing.
Really? And why is that? I don't actually have a good explanation for you. I think somebody much smarter than me can trace the history of the recording industry.
I just did trace it.
Years and find the real answer. But I do have a prediction here, because it's the same way that the camera is the inflection point between cinema and theater that separates them into two separate crafts. I think generative AI as a technology will be that inflection point that separates live music from recorded music into two fundamentally different but related art forms. Generative AI will accelerate the commodification of recorded music in new and strange ways. It will fulfill Silicon Valley's desire to turn music making into a game, a video game.
It's a little bit like a video game.
But live music utterly resists this trend because that technology of generative AI is simply not present in live music, the same way that cameras are not present really in live theater.
We're going to get to a point where live is the place to be. It's going to get to a point where you truly have to improv. You truly have to, perform. Theater is going to be like, did you see that play?
You cannot generate a live performance. And so the craft of live performance...
I mean, I wonder if he's talked about this before. Something that I don't like, maybe because of my music background or whatever, I don't know. I really don't like... Oh, my chat got so mad at me for this thing. I don't like it when live performances are sometimes just like straight playthroughs of albums. I actually think that's super boring. I don't know why people pay to go and see that. Well, I guess, but maybe it's just because I don't like those types of environments. Like, why would I go to hear in worse sound quality somebody just play down their album? I also feel like there should be more improvisational elements to songs. So like the thing, my chat didn't get mad at me for this one. You guys hated my take of like, if I go to see the Eagles perform Hotel California, I don't want to hear the same fucking guitar solo every time. Or like if I go to see Pink Floyd do Comfortably Numb or whatever, I don't want to hear the same fucking guitar. I want to hear something different. Like, do something different. It's a live performance. So show me like a once in a lifetime thing. Why am I hearing the same fucking thing that I hear on the album? Like, I have the chance to hear something different. I don't know. I feel like that's boring.
Will still have great value, especially in small and intimate spaces where technological aids like live autotune are not possible.
As much as I love technology, we're going to get...
Live autotune is he knows this. I don't have to correct anything he says. He just must mean that maybe it's harder to do or something, or it's not as extreme, but...
Especially in small and intimate spaces where technological aids...
Small and intimate space. Oh yeah, so like a bar isn't going to have like all the necessary equipment maybe set up to do this kind of stuff, sure. No!
Aids like live autotune are not possible.
As much as I love technology, we're going to get to a human-made... That's the value.
Fictional reality is possible in recorded music, but it is not possible in live music. If you don't believe me, our Silicon Valley overlords tried the fictional reality version of live music, and they tried it very, very hard. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry, I've memory holed that entire period of my life too, but I'm talking, of course, about the global COVID pandemic. 5 years ago, during the lockdowns, live musical performance was impossible, but the virtual versions of live music were certainly possible with Twitch concerts and concerts in Fortnite.
Fuck. Does anybody know the best piece of art that was produced during the during COVID? There's one answer, and it's the correct answer.
Every musician on the planet was laser focused on trying.
Yeah, it's that Bo Burnham inside. What a great album. Was it? Would you consider it an album? I think, right? Good shit.
To make Mark Andreessen's fictional reality a reality in this virtual world. And we all came to the conclusion after 2 years of trying that shit that it sucked. Virtual reality.
That's the epic Redditor guy. He's the king Redditor, okay? Get fucked. Bo Burnham is my generation's, I don't know, think of some cringy millennial example.
He sucks. Everybody tried to replicate what it meant to be in a room and experience music together, and it just didn't even come close. It turns out that people actually really love the real world when there is music and art in it. People really love having the real world around them if it can be filled with the joy of music and community. This is the hopium for this video, guys. You experienced it along with me. We were locked indoors, and we hated it, and the second that we were able to go outdoors and experience live music safely, by the way, we took that opportunity and ran with it, because the real world is a beautiful space when there is room for music and the arts. And Suno and generative AI is not the replacement for it. When people were presented with the bleak reality of Mark Andreessen, they refused. The craft of live music will be fine. I have no doubt about it. Especially in small and intimate spaces, there is simply no substitute for what live music is. People who focus on the craft of live music making will not face the same existential crisis of deskilling that people who focus primarily on recording might. People who focus primarily on recording will come to rely more and more on AI tools as they become the industry standard. This will cause a fundamental separation of the crafts between live music and recorded music. Recorded music as an art form.
Oh, I kind of thought about this, that for a lot of the AI stuff, maybe there might be like a greater, he's kind of talking about this now, there's like going to be a premium on real, made by a real human kind of thing, which actually already kind of exists in some, I don't know if you say like clothing or fashion, or it's like, oh, like actually made by an actual designer, actual person, or not machine. I don't know, I'm sure they do this on some fucking clothing bullshit.
I'm becoming more and more, quite frankly, doomer about. Because even if you don't use generative AI in your music, the art form itself is starting to become quite suspect. I have stopped believing what I see on social media. There's been such a fundamental breakdown in trust of recorded media in general. I predict there's going to be more and more breakdown of trust in terms of what we are even listening to in recorded music. There will become more and more a barrier between the people who are listening to the music and the people who create it. And that barrier, quite frankly, is just not there in live setting. I foresee that some people will just reject the medium of recorded music altogether to focus on live performance, because that is the only arena in which you could actually showcase your craft. Live performance will become the prestige art form in contrast with the slop of recorded music. Like the Beatles saw no future in touring, many artists will simply see no future in recording, and so live performances will be the ultimate refuge from artists from the disruption of generative AI. I had this thought about the Beatles and the separation of live performance and recorded performances, watching The Breakup, McCartney After the Beatles by Mark But Evil. It was a really nice, well thought out video essay on the trajectory and end of the Beatles that happens to be a Nebula exclusive. Now, Nebula itself is an interesting meta case here, because Nebula as a platform really is the prestige alternative to social media, which has been dominated by slop and will continue to be dominated by slop. Much the same way that I think live musical performance will be the prestige alternative to recorded music, which is being overrun by slop. Nebula, unlike other streaming platforms, is extremely committed to this idea. You can read CEO Dave Wiskus' blog post from 2 years ago committing to this. Billions of dollars have been spent on technology designed to steal from creators, replace us, and use our work to replace artists in other fields. Even now, they openly admit that their businesses cannot function without theft. This isn't okay, and Nebula can't be part of it. Our official position, Nebula will not use any generative AI tools known to be trained on unethically sourced data in the creation of original content or in the production of our software platform. Now, in pursuit of that, Nebula funds tons of great, thought-provoking, and just plain fun videos you can't find anywhere else from your favorite creators. No ads, early access, and a growing library of exclusives guaranteed to be human-made. I am proud to have my videos on there, including many that you cannot see on YouTube or elsewhere. Whoa! It is a community of like-minded creators that are dedicated to a similar pursuit of craft. If you're interested in joining, with my link, you can get Nebula for 50% off, which is $30 a year or $2.50 a month. Okay. You can go right now to go.nebula.tv/AdamNeely and start watching fantastic exclusives like the ones from Mark But Evil. But if you are really committed to supporting human-made art and the platforms that are committed to funding interesting and original projects, Nebula is offering $200 off a lifetime subscription. You can get access to everything that Nebula will ever produce from now until the end of time for only $300. And you'll never have to think about managing your subscription. I'm very excited for the future of Nebula, and as long as there is a Nebula, you too can be part of this community that engages the world in a thoughtful and meaningful way. Sign up today for either 50% off annual plans or now $300 for lifetime access. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you, Adam, for letting me steal your content so we can train our AI datasets on all of it. Holy shit. That was based.
I've reacted to racing crashes, sports injuries, Summer Olympics, but now it's time for...
Uh-oh. Who joined?
It's me.
Who is me? Damn, hold on. What? You're super quiet. Why do you guys troll me like this?
I'm not trolling you, I'm just speaking quietly.
Okay, I'm not turning you up, so I hope Shaq gets mad at you.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, I think... Sorry. you're being really cognitive dissonance with like you always say with Trump that you don't like it when people talk about the shit that's not true, like that doesn't matter about him. Just talk about the stuff we know is true that's already bad on. I don't understand why you do the same. You do the same for billionaires. Like Elon, he has a bunch of stuff he does with companies. I disagree completely on that, but you don't have any like information on it. You can just not talk about it and just say he's a retard. He's obviously a subhuman piece of trash. Why talk about his companies?
Well, because I know he lies about some of the things that he's done with companies, so I don't know if it's true about the rest. Like, Elon Musk gets no credit for fucking PayPal. He bought and sold this way before. I think when he bought this initially, it was like a business-to-business transacting idea thing. I don't even know if he was part of it when it started to do just ordinary consumer shit. But I know he likes to take credit for being one of the original founders of PayPal. Or so I don't know how much of that applies to SpaceX or Tesla. I just have no idea.
Okay.
But I think I'm pretty clear that. I don't know, maybe he did. Maybe he did.
Yeah, but you say this all the time. Like okay.
Wait, what do I say? I usually say he's retarded, but I always, historically, one of the few things I was willing to do with Elon Musk, I give him credit for SpaceX and Tesla. And even today, that guy's even...
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been in your street for know enough. But
Good.
You also do not like it when people go, you like hedge, and then say something fucking retarded. And that's what you do, basically. You're like, I'm retard.
What are the things I think... what do I say about Elon Musk that you think is really unfair?
Okay, so you paint this broad, like, kind of, like, before Elon, like, the 2022 thing, like, you basically viewed him as, like, a very smart person. He did, like, smart things in his companies. His output that you saw, at least, was positive. It had a good, like, impact, and it was also, whether or not a good impact doesn't matter, but it was good. He created, like, success in the economy, right? And then after he became a retard, you start projecting that onto his businesses, and you started, like, slowly over time, I saw this, like, happen with you. You started saying he's, like, oh, he's bad, like, all the people in the company are doing it for him, like, all this stuff, rather than just, like, saying, well, okay, maybe that was true, but what he's saying now, openly, is retarded.
Well, I think, so, it's incredibly convenient for me to say that his political journey also maps onto his intellectual one. I understand that. That would be a highly sus statement. But, like, I feel like the trend has moved in that direction. So, like, let's look at, like, Tesla as a thing, okay? I think, if you're being fair, I think it is undeniable that Tesla pushed, like, electronic cars forward when they came out, like, 10 years at least, right? Like, nobody was really doing this, and then, like, people will point to, like, the fucking... some random fucking whatever. But, like, in terms of the scale and everything, like, the Tesla, when it came out, this was, like, a fucking... At the price and the performance was, like, unheard of. That you could have a fast electric car that had distance and everything else and looked not like shit. I think he gets credit for that. But I don't think it's deniable that, like, Tesla has kind of sat on its laurels for the past decade and hasn't really done much else. No?
But would you say that that gives you, like, within your boundaries of, like, what you expect of yourself, and, like, when you know, with your audience, would you say that gives you, I don't want to say the right because that's so cringe, but, like, say, oh, like, you don't think any of his stuff is, like, was him doing it, and then just preface, I'm a retard, but I can say that. Like, I understand where you're coming from. You've got this understanding, like, you get emails or stuff like that, people talking about Tesla, maybe you've seen stuff on news and stuff, but it's so much more common. Like, the idea, you compared, like, to the old billionaires or stuff like that, like, Steve Jobs, everyone hated him. Everyone who, like, didn't work in the company thought he was a fucking retard. They thought he was crazy. They thought he was, like sociopathic, like, schizophrenic. Same with Zuckerberg. Before the movie came out, like, The Social Network, everyone thought Zuckerberg was just a fucking dumbass, like, crazy dumbass. This is the same for
Hold on, wait.
Like,
well, okay, there's a couple things to draw a distinction. When you say dumbass, do you mean, like, they just didn't like him? And then when you say everyone, do you mean, like, normies or people that worked in the industry? Because my understanding is that, like, while Steve Jobs might not have been popular because he was an asshole or whatever else, like, it was his vision, undeniably, that pushed Apple to...
No, you're right, yeah. I shouldn't have said everyone, because obviously there's a completely different framing with, like, how billionaires are way more, like, you talk about this and I agree with this, but they're way more, like, out there, right? Yeah, so it's not everyone.
Yeah, so I feel like, so for the public, that's a different story, and how billionaires are trying to become, like, cool or hip now or whatever is a different conversation topic. But, like, I feel like the older, even when I say older, like, just even that first generation of, like, tech dudes were more involved in the production of their products initially. And then I just don't know if I hear them say, like,
yeah.
you hard disagree?
Yes, there is. Obviously, I spend a lot of time reading these things. If you read about any founder, like literally any single founder, like their biography or anything, you'll probably learn this. I understand you haven't, and I take I give the leniency for people that haven't done this. But when you're a founder, you can't just like Elon isn't just buying a company like the PayPal thing, I actually unironically don't know much about that, but I know more about Tesla and SpaceX because it was just relevant. For SpaceX and Tesla, yes, he went there, he bought a ailing company that was about to fail for Tesla, and he basically helped it go along, right? He was very involved in the process, extremely involved. Everyone who works with him, okay, there are a lot of people that hate him. There are so many. This is kind of like your example for like, if there was a pedo ring of like all this stuff, why aren't there obvious signs of people just coming out and saying that he's just like, he's dumb. Like he's like, all these people would just be saying that he has no idea what he's doing. He just comes along and buys it. All the people saying this are like people that write on like blogs, like Twitter, like not Twitter blogs, but like Wappo or like Bullshit Journal or like stuff like that. They're just like opinion piece. Like Elon's a retard. The people who work with him, there are some people that hate him. I'm not gonna fucking say that none do, but most people that work with him like say he is extremely smart. He is incredibly good at managing like the company environment, like actually maneuvering companies in the ways that they need to go in like the evolving times. Extremely good at managing risk in a way that like no other would, in the way he can make something that is very unlikely to happen like actually happen. Like SpaceX and Tesla were, as you said, like Tesla, that wasn't a thing. That no one thought that was a thing. People thought it was like a joke before he actually he came on with that. And then for SpaceX, basically everyone was calling it a joke for.
Sure, and I don't know how much the direction of the company changed. I don't know how much the direction of the company changed once he took over. But like what you described initially, like he came on and he helped them along. You're talking about capitalization. Like what do you fucking do?
No, I don't mean capital. I mean he literally was involved in the process. One of the key things that I hear about Elon, people that know him have been worked with him, is he is very, very involved in learning how the process works. Like for example, there's sometimes you'll hear like people say like that dick sucks for Elon. I hate that I'm even defending this sub-human piece of shit. I do not like him, to be clear. Is that like they'll say, oh, he was in the factory until 2 a.m. and he was working with people. There are examples of this actually happening. Like there are biographies of people that have worked with him, and they have they've talked about their experiences working, and he would genuinely like come along and say, hey, how does this work? Like I want to learn how like this part of the spacecraft's work. Like I want to be able to like know why we're doing this, and then potentially think about it in my own way. Like he might not necessarily be engineering these things. I don't think he's doing that for all these things. But the point of a CEO isn't to like Jensen Huang, for example. He was.
Oh wait, because you're about to make a totally different argument than the argument you just made. But like, I guess this is the issue that I'm kind of running into. Okay, so like I said, historically, I've generally given his dues for SpaceX and Tesla as being amazing American companies that I think are beneficial for America and hopefully ultimately the world. Okay, I generally give him his dues there. I guess the issue, the things that I'm having trouble rectifying are he is so out of bounds with seemingly every other thing he puts his hands on. So like the Doge stuff was a disaster. He showed his ass hardcore when he thought he could say anything about software development when he purchased X. Like he's shown himself to be grossly incompetent and retarded, at least when it comes to communicating anything about any of these things. Now maybe he just really sucks at talking. He's the smartest guy in the world, but he just can't speak English well or something. Maybe, but to see so many different types of incompetency displayed across such a vast domain of things, whether it's politics, whether it was accounting and auditing via Doge, whether it was how to fake a Path of Exile account, whether it was him talking about software development for X. I'm sure there are other examples of this. But it just when I see stuff like that, like I've never heard Zuckerberg say something where I'm like, man, this guy's fucking retarded. I've never heard Bezos say something where like, oh, this guy's fucking retarded. Except for when they're dick sucking Trump, but I see why they're doing it though, and that doesn't come from a place of retardation. It comes from a place of fucking I need to be on the admin's good side. Yeah, or what's an example? Tell me, I'm curious.
There are plenty of people.
Well, give me an example of a thing. Give me an example. It doesn't have to be like verbatim the sentence or whatever. But I'm curious. Like, what are some things you think?
For example, there are people that disagree. Okay, for Zuckerberg is actually a company I don't follow as much as others, but like there are people to disagree that his metaverse was a huge thing that people disagreed with him on. Like, and you talked about this when you were going over it. But
yeah, but hold on, wait. That's different, right? Yeah. He had a vision for a thing. The vision didn't necessarily work out either because the world's not ready for it yet, or their execution of it sucked. But like, he didn't talk about that. Like,
FSD?
What?
Isn't that full self-driving for like all the people say about Elon? Like, oh, we're gonna have full self-driving next year. Like, that's
no. That's an issue of vision and trying to predict huge moves in markets. Elon Musk's is a basic issue of competency. When Elon Musk talked about software, he sounded like a fucking retard, like a guy like me who reads memes online and is like, oh, I know what I need to do. I need to buy every single company and force them to refactor their entire code base to get rid of tech debt, because that was like the fucking term of the year for 2 years, when he bought this fucking company. And there are so many examples of like that when he talks about fucking Doge and government accounting, how easy and simple it is. It was a monumental, what should be one of the most embarrassing failures of any businessman in all of human history, to get the keys to the government that much that he's been criticizing that much and find nothing. It's embarrassing. Like Zuckerberg might have been wrong in trying to make the metaverse work, but that wasn't like an embarrassing display of a lack of competency. I just think he was bad at predicting the movement of market.
I misunderstood you. Sorry.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. So when I think about this, the easiest way I think I can make this simplified is like when I watch your stream, some of the people that I think is really similar to Zuckerberg is they can be extremely well thought out and extremely intelligent on a certain aspect or certain aspects, but then just have completely retarded heuristic views or heuristic ways of applying stuff in other places, and it can be extremely broad. Like for example, the PhD people you talk to, some of them are incredibly intelligent on some things, and then when you talk to them about anything else, they're just completely retarded. And I understand that this is so much more bigger for Elon, because we're subjected to him every single day. Everything he wants to talk about, he goes in a share and he just posts things like he's good god. But at the same time, I think if you got these people and you did the same thing, they would also be as retarded. I know people in industries who are extremely smart that are MAGA fucking idiots, and they believe all the shit that comes out, like Andreessen's, mouth, fucking all the.
Well, yeah, but hold on, but that's part of isn't that part of being? First of all, isn't it part of being a better person? Isn't it part of being the elite? Is to know what you should or shouldn't talk about? Like, if I got invited because somebody thought I was really good at my stream to give a speech on botany, I'm not fucking taking that up. I'm going to sound like a fucking retard. What?
That's not my contention. My contention is that these people can be good at, I didn't make this discrepancy before, but Mark Andreessen, Horowitz, and stuff like that is different to VC capitalists are different to people that genuinely run companies.
Sure.
There's a massive these people are the people that go pontificate like Mark Andreessen. All these people, I don't think they have any value in society whatsoever.
Yeah, but that's where I don't know for Elon. I can't tell anymore. Was Elon a really driven, good manager of business, or was he just a VC capitalist and he was the one that got lucky? He ended up buying two companies and he had this autistic way of pushing every company forward, and he just happened to get lucky with these two that they had the talent and there was the technology that could be discovered, and they did it.
I don't think there is a single person that isn't just acting in bad faith that has founded a company that would say that Elon got lucky. It's just impossible that with all the stuff that we know about them, that he just bought these companies, just high rolled, put someone else in the sea. They got all the best talent in the world, and he did this multiple times in a row. If you haven't read someone's a story of the reason why all the big companies are the big companies they are is because they got incredibly intelligent people, they had good culture, good politics, and they ran the companies amazingly. And there's a reason why the companies that have failed didn't keep that culture, didn't keep the good employees, and they lost them. This is the thing that makes companies companies, and he is good at finding talent, managing. For example, I can give you a good example. You talk about his focus and stuff like that, which I think is a really bad thing for his management of all his empire. But one thing he's really good at is speed. He is incredibly good at making things, good things, good as in economically good, very quickly. When the AI shit kicked off in 2022, he was okay, we need to build data centers. People were okay, it takes about 2 to 3 years to build a data center. He went and built a data center that's the biggest one in the world in a year, and everyone said it was impossible, literally impossible. And he just did that. And why did any of why didn't Microsoft, why didn't Google, why didn't Amazon, all these companies, they've been building data centers for 12 years. They've been literally learning it, the ins and outs of trying to do it. He came along, did it in 1 year, and no one else can do it. And it doesn't make sense that he can do these things, keep on doing them, and then people are it's just luck.
Okay, then how, if he's so good at finding talent and doing things like this, why was Doge such a fucking monumental failure? That seemed the antithesis of everything. What?
I'm not here to defend his failures. I think he is dumb. He breached in too many places.
Well, no, but I'm saying this is a failure that I feel would speak directly to that area of competency of finding talent to be able to do a thing. We got big balls.
But if his way of doing things is he does loads of different things and he bets differently on different things.
Yeah. But wait, but that's what I'm talking about. This is the VC game that once you've reached a certain level of ultra wealthy, you're allowed to bet on 100 different companies. And then if 3 of them make it, people see the 3 successes and they're God, this guy's a fucking genius.
There's a difference between running it. substantive difference between running a company as a CEO and just being on the board of it and owning a share in it. There is massive differences between those two things. I understand what you like. There's a crossover in your head, but like when Elon, like for example, Elon was running Tesla extremely closely for like the 2010s, but past 2010s, I'm like mostly sure his like impact dropped off a lot, and a lot of people because of that basically attribute all of like Tesla's like what's the word like. Success to like the CEO that he appointed, right? When she or him, I can't remember, she for SpaceX, and I think someone else runs Tesla, wouldn't have been able to do any of those things if he hadn't brought it to where it was, right? He invests like heavily and is heavily involved in the process like when he needs to, and then he gets diverted somewhere else, right? And then that might fail, and then he'll go back to somewhere else, right?
Okay.
I just don't see the reason to shit on his companies. Like, it doesn't make sense in your, like, from what I know, like, about your views and stuff. Like, I understand you're annoyed.
Well, I don't normally shit on his companies. I don't know why you just said that. I usually shit on him. He just seems like
Shit on his ability to make companies.
because when somebody fucks up over and over and over and over and over again, at some point I start to wonder, like, okay, what was this a fucking fluke? I think that's fair. I think it's pretty normal.
I can understand. Like wondering, but like obviously as I went before, like the idea of just being able to say, oh, he's a retard, and then saying like things that are, I think at least obviously true about founders and CEOs in like any aspect. If you've ever read anything about like the process of making a company, but obviously you haven't, so I would just say, well, no, like yeah, he's a retard. All he says is subhuman shit that comes out of his mouth, right? But like for his companies, I don't know. He's made some good ones. Maybe it's low. I don't know.
Okay. I love you. Be careful.
Also, the AI guy from yesterday, he's wrong on everything. Please do not use whatever he says.
I totally absorbed everything he said. I think he was right on every. Oh, rip. Okay, I have open links. This can't be real, right? They're getting rid of the. Wait, did anybody use this in school? Does anybody remember the CIA World Factbook? Spotlighting the World Factbook as we bid a fond farewell. Why? I feel like this was one of the most reliable sources. I guess maybe because we have Wikipedia now. Where does Wikipedia get its information from? What the fuck is that? Fuck you guys. You're too old. The Factbook was like if you needed the population or square mileage or just like random facts or anything of any country or whatever. The World Factbook on the CIA website just had so much information. But this is like Wikipedia, I guess. Well, Illuminator, thank you for the 5 gifted subs, buddy. One of the CIA's oldest, most recognizable intelligence publications, the World Factbook, has sunset. The World Factbook served the intelligence community and the general public as a long-standing one-stop basic reference about countries and communities around the globe. Let's take a quick look into the history of the World Factbook. Over many decades, the World Factbook evolved from a classified to unclassified hard copy to electronic product that added new categories and even new global entities. The original classified publication, titled the National Basic Intelligence Factbook, launched in 1962. First unclassified version was issued in 1971. A decade later, it was renamed the World Factbook. In 1997, the World Factbook went digital and debuted to a worldwide audience on CIA.gov. Though the World Factbook is gone, in the spirit of its global reach and legacy, we hope you will stay curious about the world and find ways to explore it in person. Why? Why would you? How much money did? Why would you get rid of this? Offered no reason for the decision to end the Factbook. It follows a vow from Director John Ratcliffe to end programs that don't advance the agency's core missions. The White House's moved to cut staffing at the CIA and the National Security Agency early in Trump's second term, forcing the agency to do more with less. Well, okay, whatever. Seems kind of sad, but whatever. What is this?
5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Secretary, earlier in response to someone else's question, you talked a little bit there toward the end, but I'm not sure that there was a time for follow-up about, I think you said 10 to 20 million immigrants that are responsible for the driving up the housing costs. Is that what you said?
I'm referring to a Wharton report, yes.
Do you know what they based it on, what data, what information they looked at?
Yes, the survey by survey, community by community. You could go, if you'd like, I will have my people post it on the Treasury X account as we speak.
Well, thanks for the cooperation, because I'm just completely baffled. The average new home sale is about $500,000, and you're saying that it's driving up the housing crisis when DHS is over there trying to pick up and deport people because, quote unquote, they're a drain on society, they're dependent on public benefits. So if you're on public benefits, how do you afford a $500,000 house?
Well, let me clarify your confusion, because
I'm not confused, sir. Don't be demeaning to me, all right? Because I'm going to object and ask the chairman to make you answer questions.
Anyway, I'm trying to explain to you that it is rental income and rental properties. The
Do
value
you really
of
think
the,
that
the,
people, have you
value
been to the rental places of immigrants? I have people in my district that are in rental houses that I wouldn't rent to anybody. They're not expensive. They're probably $500 or $600 a month. You think people that can barely afford housing like that's the housing that we're talking about when we talk about the housing crisis? Quote unquote, they're a drain on society. They're dependent on public benefits. So if you're on public benefits, how do you afford a $500,000 house?
Well, let me clarify your confusion, because
I'm not dollars, and you're saying that it's driving up.
yes, the survey by survey, community by community. You could go, if you like, I will have my people post it on the Treasury X account as we speak.
Well, thanks for the cooperation, because I'm just completely baffled. The average new home sale is about $500,000, and you're saying that it's driving up the housing crisis when DHS is over there trying to pick up and deport people because, quote unquote, they're a drain on society, they're dependent on public benefits. So if you're on public benefits, how do you afford a $500,000 house?
Well, let me clarify your confusion, because
I'm not confused, sir. Don't be demeaning to me, all right? Because I'm going to object and ask the chairman to make you answer questions.
Anyway, I'm trying to explain to you that it is rental income and rental properties.
Do you really think that people, have you been to the rental places of immigrants? I have people in my district that are in rental houses that I wouldn't rent to anybody. They're not housing like
properties, inflation in the price of A property, B properties pushes up A properties. So.
Oh. Okay, that was like a funny mini own, but her point is fucking retarded, so never mind. Fuck this. Obviously, having more people in any area is going to drive up the cost of housing. That's just how it works. It's a simple math question. Asmongold on the Epstein files.
Why are they doing this again? Well, the reason why, and here's the real reason, is that they weaponize the Epstein files not because they care about justice for the victims, but it's to use it for political capital so they can have the moral upper hand against Donald Trump so they can keep importing illegal aliens.
I'm sorry. Who were the people that were fucking obsessed with this shit for so fucking long? There were cabinet level officials. Bongino was on podcasts bragging about the secret connections he had that knew all the insides and outs about the Epstein files. Now it's the Democrats that weaponized it? They're so fucking mad because they weaponized us as retards for so long, and then it bit them in the ass. They're like, oh, I don't know why you guys want to talk about this so much.
They don't care about the women that are being raped and killed by Jeffrey Epstein.
My God.
If they cared about women being raped and killed, they'd want to get rid of illegal aliens too, but they don't. So it's just very
because oh my God, bro.
Weird to me. It's like basically politics right now. These are the two decisions that you have. Do you want to have young girls raped and killed by pedophile elites, or do you want to have young girls raped and killed by illegal aliens? You've got to pick. That's the way it is, guys. You either have one or the other. You've got to be, yeah, pick a side. Yep, pick a side, guys. That's how it is. Aren't they fucking retarded? This is unbelievable. Who thinks this? I know. It's outrageous, isn't it? Holy fucking shit. And yes, I don't know. What are we talking about here? It's just crazy. That's a crazy breakdown. Am I wrong, though? I don't think I'm wrong about this at all. Yes, it's insane. And yeah, what is it here? And can I just ball? No, fuck, no, you gotta go to the FBI for that. Shut up, idiot. And conveniently omitted the person who gave them this tip is ruled as a schizophrenic and not a reliable witness. Well, yeah, I mean, like, what I'm saying is that, like, while I think this stuff is really important and it needs to be talked about, don't ever delude yourself into thinking that people that want to talk about it want to do it on any sort of a principled way. Because if these people are actually against illegal immigration, or sorry, were actually against this type of exploitation, they would be also trying to get rid of the illegals and the other people that are in our country already that are doing it on a scale much larger than Epstein. Epstein raped a bunch of people and he was terrible, right? But he's still only one guy. What about the hundreds of thousands of people that are doing this in the country right now? right now.
Hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants are raping people? Then why do I hear the same Lake and Riley name brought up 50 million fucking times? You can't find a new poster child for illegal immigrant rape? Give me a fucking break. What a fucking retard, dude.
So that's it. False equivalence? How's it a false equivalence? Both of them are the same thing. It's the same crime.
Damn, that was a long-ass story. Oh, no, it's not. The Trump administration is targeting free speech with a little-known legal tool, administrative subpoenas. The Washington Post reports that a retired Philadelphia man, John, 67, found himself in the government's crosshairs after he emailed a lead prosecutor at the Department of Homeland Security, Joseph Dernbach, who was handling the deportation case of an Afghan refugee, identified as H, asking him to consider that the man's life was in danger from the Taliban. Mr. Dernbach, don't play Russian roulette with H's life, John wrote from his Gmail account. Err on the side of caution. There's a reason the U.S. government, along with many other governments, don't recognize the Taliban. Apply principles of common sense and decency. Later that day, John received an email from Google notifying him that an administrative subpoena had been sent to them for the Department of Homeland Security, compelling the release of information related to your Google account. Jesus. Days later, DHS agents showed up at John's door. A naturalized U.S. citizen originally from the UK, John was worried about potential violence. The agents showed him a copy of the email and asked to see his side of the story. They didn't know about the administrative subpoena, but said they received orders to interview John by DHS headquarters in Washington, D.C. Eventually, the agents agreed that John had committed no crimes. After he told them he found Dernbach's email address through a simple Google search, John secured pro bono representation by ACLU attorneys who argued the government is violating a statute that limits how administrative subpoenas can be used for immigration enforcement, and that the government targeted John for protected speech. Jesus. Both Google and Meta received a record number of subpoenas in the United States during the first half of 2025 as Trump's second term began, with Google receiving 28,622, a 15% increase over the previous 6 months. PvP last words. What someone said that still lives rent-free in your head. Trump 2028, bitch. It was just so weird and jarring. I come to Arc Raiders to escape all the inescapable grossness of our political system. For the record, shouting out any politician in a video game is weird in my opinion. That guy is a DGGer. Oh, fuck, is he? Never mind. Oh, he is. Fucking loser. Share the news of the MMO Ashes of Creation, basically rug pulling their player base. No, what happened? They stole millions. Uh-oh. Pirate software crashes out. Ashes of Creation is a scam. Wait, did he... Oh, wait, he promoted this game. Somebody sent me a message on this a while ago.
Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today. And if there was ever a video that reminded you of this object here in my hand, for those who don't know, this is an onion. You know, layer by layer, you peel this bad boy back.
Jubilee versus maggots. Wait, hold on. 1 Democrat versus 20 MAGA Republicans?
So you just made...
Is it just another wacky, crazy fascist group of insane people, or...
Right? If there was ever a video I've made that would remind you of this object right here, let it be this one. Because Ashes of Creation is a situation so dubious, so perplexing, so insane that as you peel those layers back and get closer to the middle, your mind will be continuously blown. But I don't think you'll cry as much as when you peel an onion. Anyway, that said, this is a situation that runs as far back as 2015, 11 years ago. This whole journey started with Intrepid Studios, and they got an MMORPG by the name of Ashes of Creation kickstarted to the sum of $3.2 million as late as October 2017. 9 years later, it is out on storefronts, and it already got taken off storefronts. However, to be clear, as we run deeper into the situation, this is not something as simple as, oh, I see the mostly negative Steam reviews on their page. I guess the game underdelivered on fan expectations, and that's it. No, while that is part of it, it is so much more than that. This is a situation that is starting to remind people so much of the day before, which was a long-running video game scam that ended in a complete disaster. Despite raising $3.2 million and extracting so much money out of backers beyond that, by the way, because of $500 alphas, selling alpha and beta packs on their website, selling cosmetics on their website, despite extracting so much money out of people, they only managed to skip by from alpha to a sudden early access launch. And one that, by the way, conveniently, they mentioned on their Kickstarter that in case Ashes of Creation does not launch, we promise to refund all backers in full. Which the little caveat here is when you look at their website describing the early access launch, they do say that they'll continue to update the game until it reaches the level of quality, stability, and content breadth that we expect for launch. But a lot of people are expecting that Ashes of Creation quickly launched and then pulled itself off the market.
This game was really big in the MMO world for years. Everyone talked about it, not just Pirate Software. Asmund interviewed the devs and CEO multiple times.
So that they didn't have to refund the Kickstarter backers all their money because all the money is gone. So ladies and gentlemen, this situation is insane. And again, the more I break it down, the more we get closer to the center of this, I think the more you'll be like, what? That's insane. Okay, so let's start breaking it down. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you're into what's going on in the games industry, consider subscribing. So like I just described here, right? The game appears and it gets pulled off the storefront. That's already bad enough. But to make matters worse, the entire development team gets laid off. The head of Intrepid Studios spoke out about this, and while it tries to make him look like a good guy, as we go deeper into the core of this issue, not quite. He says on his Discord, I can make a limited statement in my personal capacity and not on behalf of the company regarding the situation. Control of the company shifted away from me, and the board began directing actions that I could not ethically agree with or carry out. As a result, I chose to resign in protest rather than lend my name or authority to decisions I could not ethically support. Following my resignation, much of the senior leadership team resigned. Following those departures, the board made the decision to issue WARN Act notices and proceed with a mass layoff. I cannot responsibly speak to further details at this time due to the ongoing legal and governance matters. What I can say is that the developers and staff acted in good faith and deserve better than the uncertainty they are now facing. I am incredibly dismayed by the situation. Now, what's strange about this is that in an interview from 2021 with MMORPG.com, Steve says this, man. He says, we aren't governed by greedy corporate overlords. I'm funding the project, so no investors or a board to answer to, no publishers to appease. We speak with, not to, our community, and we actually listen to feedback and value/respect our players. So when you look around at Intrepid Studios and you don't see like a publisher, you're wondering who this board is that suddenly pulled the plug on
Ashes of Creation.
But then this was confirmed over on LinkedIn when Margaret Crone, who was one of their comms leads at Intrepid Studios, said that her time at the team had ended and that she's looking for new opportunities. Furthermore, in the comment thread beneath that, she said she doesn't work there anymore, so she can't answer, but she doesn't know how the game would be made when the heart and soul of the product, the amazing dev team, was entirely laid off. That this will continue on.
Wait, okay, wait,
So
sorry. How long was this released for? Like, could you buy it and play it?
That was launched into early access after 2 alphas we'll talk about in a moment here, was subsequently ripped off the market because of something involving
Like 2
the
weeks.
board, which then forced leadership to leave, but we already see that there was no
1 month
board
ago on
behind
Steam.
this. And now the entire team is gone.
Like a month,
The game is
barely.
still available on Steam as we're recording this video. Now,
Okay.
right now, Steam is looking into this, much like what happened the day before Steam got involved and got people's money back. And I feel like that's what they're going to try to do here. But let's run this a little bit deeper here, because the amount of money that they were taking from customers was insane to me. They were selling this early access bundle for $50. On top of that were a bunch of cosmetics. Now, you look at that storefront and you go, all right, like, not the end of the world here. But then you start to learn that 4 years ago, Ashes of Creation was selling a $500 pack that would give you alpha access, closed alpha access to the game. They would then subsequently charge for Alpha 2 $250. So they were taking money from people hand over fist beyond the Kickstarter money. So there was so much money that has been taken and bled from customers over the years. I will also say this, if you are paying $500 to be a QA tester, that is also somewhat on you.
I was going to say, like, I wonder how mad the software world was that did like QA and all this for so long. And then the gaming world was like, wait a second, why would we pay people to do quality assurance when we could just have people pay us to do quality assurance?
be mean, not to be offensive here, but look, man, that is an insane amount of money. Do you know what you could buy with that money outside of playing a game that's not even close to ready for being on the market? Like, there are whole companies dedicated to doing QA. Don't pay to become one. It's not a glorifying job. The only bit of publishing that was surrounding this game was my.com, who said that they are proud to announce a partnership with Intrepid Studios in 2018 for its global publishing plans. In Europe and CIS, the studio will work together with my.com and mail.ru. This partnership will ensure the tools necessary to make Ashes of Creation not just a dream for all MMORPG players, but a reality that will change the future of the genre. Intrepid is still the publisher and operator for the North American region, but they also hinted that it will announce an Asian publishing partner in the near future. In 2020, it was announced that Intrepid and My Games would end their partnership here. So any other publishing efforts here were completely gone by the time we had got this game onto the market. Now, where this situation gets even more interesting is when you start to look at Stephen Sheriff, right, who was the head of Intrepid Studios. A lot of people call out that he worked at a MLM company, a multi-level marketing company here. And I want to read this full entire snippet of an interview I was reading with Stephen. The write-up says, our commenters have been linking some of the Reddit concerns about Sheriff's background, and while some of it appears baseless, Sheriff himself has admitted that he formerly...
I feel like this YouTuber is talking a lot and like showing stuff, but not saying much. Am I crazy? This guy is like patting the fuck out of this video. Hold on, we're watching this one.
A Kickstarter MMORPG which raised millions of dollars through a combination of private investment, Kickstarter support, paid for early access, and extremely expensive in-game shop items.
Oh, this guy's way smart. I can already tell. Because of the accent.
Bundles promised players a complex, deep, and reactive world and has shut down roughly 1 month after releasing into early access on Steam. And this news has shocked absolutely no one who has seen this story play out again and again and again. Game project overpromises and raises money through hopes and dreams. People are skeptical and get called haters, then the project dies, and yet it will continue to play out again many more times in our lifetimes because the MMORPG player base are desperate, trusting, and easily convinced a bright new future lays just beyond the horizon, and the next project will be the one, guys, for real. Trust me, bro.
Yes.
Why does this keep happening? Why do Kickstarted crowdfunded MMORPG projects keep popping up, promising something amazing, taking loads of money off you, and then dying without giving you a game? And more importantly, why do people keep throwing money at them, assuming this will be the one that finally delivers all its promises, as if we have no precedent for what is likely to happen? Well, I think I can explain it, at least a bit of it, and it's mostly to do with how these people that support these projects aren't actually buying a game. They're putting a down payment on a potential future community, which involves them, because no current community does. Hello, I'm Josh Straface. I make videos about MMORPGs. I cover everything from games which released decades ago, like RuneScape, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, or The Elder Scrolls Online, up to the most popular MMORPGs of today, like RuneScape, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, and The Elder Scrolls Online. This hasn't changed. It will never change. But why? Why hasn't a new upstart game broken into the cycle and taken the player base away? Where is the WoW killer everyone keeps talking about? And why do Kickstarter MMORPGs keep promising the world, collecting millions of pounds of backers' money, and then not delivering? And why will they keep doing this forever? To understand why this Ashes of Creation thing happened and why it will happen again, we need to look at the state of the genre as a whole, the general playbase, the hardcore terminally online people who keep saying they want a new MMORPG and why they want that, and then why it seems accepted that giving millions of pounds to a project which isn't playable is fine, but if an actual existing game asked for the same things, they'd be raked over the coals. So let's look at that. As usual, a massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep this channel alive. More information on how you can support at the end. For now, let's begin. And let's begin with something really direct. I don't really care about Ashes of Creation. I made a video 4 years ago called Don't Believe the Hype, where I was heavily critical of the game project back then as well. I've no interest in it because I knew it was going through the same motions I've seen others go through before. I'm not saying I knew all along or I told you so. I'm saying that I'm hedging my bets based on the evidence we have. And when I heard it shut down because the director, Stephen Sheriff, was removed and the board of directors were making changes he couldn't agree with, I wasn't particularly upset. I did find it odd that Stephen has repeatedly said they don't have investors they answer to, and then the board of directors, according to the incorporation documents, was him. But actually, no, the company was sold a few months ago and now they do because it was sold to private equity. And remember, the original Kickstarter had the clause, if the game doesn't release, they'll refund everyone, which sounds great. And then just over a month ago, the game released on Steam, meaning this clause is now legally covered. Awfully convenient that. It's almost like it was planned specifically to do that, but I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Look, this is a complex thing. I don't have visibility behind the scenes for any actual sources. I'd suggest you go and watch Kira TV's video.
Like, I feel like in 3.5 minutes, this guy conveyed as much as that other dude did in like 8 minutes. No? And with a little bit of extra commentary on this, I don't know.
On the whole mess. He's been following this way longer than I have and has a far deeper understanding than I do. He makes videos with patience and integrity. I don't care about Ashes of Creation specifically. But what I do care about is why do people keep giving projects like this money? Why is it a cycle? Why have we seen MMORPGs pop up, promise the world, take money, and then die again and again? Why do people point out the risks with these projects, the issues, the red flags, and yet the supporters rapidly defend their project, often bullying or harassing people who speak out against it? Why are people so emotionally invested in something which doesn't actually exist? To understand how we've got here and why we will be here again and again no matter what we do, I need to say something people may not like. But allow me to explain. MMORPGs aren't good games. At least not from a game design point of view where maximizing the fun at a moment-to-moment level is the priority. I say this as someone who loves the genre and has thousands of hours in multiple games. The moment-to-moment gameplay is mediocre at best in most of them, and kind of dull in some of them, because the gameplay was never really the focus. The main selling point was this is a virtual world. You can have a second life in it. There's even a game literally called Second Life because it understands this. While tap-target combat is perfectly functional with lots of people, and action combat can be engaging and flashy and exciting, if an MMORPG released as a single-player RPG, it would likely be slated as players would say it's way too grindy, way too many reskinned enemies or formulaic quests, dungeons or bosses. And that's because one of the focuses of the MMO is having a lot of stuff, and the easiest way to make a lot of stuff is to make the player do the same stuff a lot. Repetition and grind is kind of the point. It's a genre aiming at a player base.
This looks like RuneScape. Is this what RuneScape 3 looks like or whatever?
Who like the grind. And what makes the grind enjoyable was always the player base.
Is that game more popular yet than RuneScape Old School, or is RSOS still the most popular one?
itself. Now, this doesn't mean always actively interacting with other people. I've made a video on why many people play MMORPGs solo. I do myself many times. But it's the presence of other people within a world which makes the world
Bedrock versus Java.
pleasant to exist within. You can talk to other people, chill together, work together, or enjoy the human ambience created by knowing other people can see your achievements and you're progressing through and contributing to a world other people also love. You have value and connection, even if not actively explored, which means the biggest strength of the MMORPG genre was the community around it. Now, playing games with other people online used to be a novel thing, and MMOs really tapped into this as their central focus, their core design. Play with other people. And as the years have moved on, that's not novel anymore. And now the MMORPG genre is trying to compete in a mechanical way against other games like MOBAs or Battle Royales, which was never really the point. The MMORPG was never trying to be the most technically advanced game, it was trying to be a digital third space, a social hangout with mechanics attached. I see MMORPGs as old-fashioned chat rooms with a game attached, and it's that community that played them, which people keep coming back for. You can endure a mediocre game just like a mediocre job because the people around you make it fun. In fact, whenever I ask someone why they stopped playing any specific MMORPG, it's very rarely because of a technical or mechanical reason. It's often because their mates stopped playing, the community dried up, the social aspect slowed down. Indeed, the MMORPG genre has had the same few games dominate it for decades, not because they are the best designed video games, but because they are the best designed communities. It's a symbiotic connection. The MMORPG game creates the community, and the community supports the game. Remove one, you often lose the other. Now, we have to understand, the vast majority of people who engage in a thing, be that a game, a sport, a music, a hobby, anything really, they don't engage with it beyond the thing itself. They are casual fans, and that's totally okay. People may listen to a band and enjoy the music, but anything further, such as knowing all the band members' names, their earlier works, which brand of equipment they use, that kind of doesn't matter to a casual enjoyer. That's more of a hardcore fan thing. People can enjoy an actor without knowing anything about the actor's personal life, and people can enjoy a video game without engaging in the forums or subreddit or real-life meetups of that game. And this means the people who log into an MMORPG, enjoy it, and log out are the casual fans. They aren't posting on forums or watching Twitch streamers or complaining about patch notes on YouTube videos. That's reserved for the more enfranchised hardcore. So when people tell me every MMORPG player is unhappy with the genre because they see a few people complaining online or a few people looking for a new game constantly, I have to remind people, you're only seeing people so enfranchised they actively engage beyond the thing itself. The people who are happy with whatever game they play are just playing that game. I have loads of friends who are totally happy playing RuneScape or World of Warcraft or Lord of the Rings Online, and when I ask if they would leave their game for a new MMORPG that is technically better, they say no. Not because they think the game they play already has the best graphics or the best music or the most amazing, incredible systems, but because to them, it's not just the game on a technical level, but the community and connection to the game which matters to them. So while this video is going to look into the type of people who give money to ambitious MMORPG projects, please understand we're talking about a subset of people within a subset of players within a subset genre. So we have a genre of game which often lives or dies on its community, with the people who are happy and comfortable in whatever their community is just enjoying being there. This means from my experience of talking to many MMO players, the people constantly pining for a new MMO to come along and change things. The players most desperate to jump into something new are often the players who aren't part of an established community in any other game. They don't feel they have a stable or solid guild or clanmate, sometimes even consistent online friends. They're often players who are trying to play MMO games without the support of also being in the community of those games, which means they have to judge the games not as a social hangout, but as a mechanical experience, and that's always been a weaker aspect. The players who are constantly looking for the next big thing are often wrongly convinced it's the mechanical aspects of an MMO which will then build the community, and not the players constantly sticking together and interacting despite the mechanics not being the best. This means a new MMO won't capture players by just promising new mechanics, because the happy player...
Well, this is kind of true. Maybe he'll talk about it. I do think there is something to be said mechanically. I guess you would know this whenever there's like a new WoW expansion. I do feel like there's like an enjoyment or a funness of running through new content with people. Like before, it's just like grinding the same shit over and over and over again. Like every time a new game comes out and you've got friends and you want to do like, there's like new stuff and it's kind of like fun and exciting and it's not all like wiki solved yet and you're maybe the first one in your friend group or community. I feel like there is an enjoyment to that. Yeah, that activity, I guess.
Players are content playing whatever their game is, but promising a new community to be a part of. That's a human need. That's a very attractive marketing angle. That's why we see a systemic focus on highlighting all the ways these new games will have interconnected communities and how you as a player will matter. There's a reason whenever a new MMORPG project needs funding, it focuses on marketing phrases like player-driven, player-created, skill-based, your story, guilds, clans, build your own city, game reacts to your actions, living, breathing world, non-repeatable quests, your choices matter. It's because those designs put the individual into a position of power within the game world, and being in a position of power is a strong desire for someone who wants to be important in an MMO, but doesn't feel that in any of the current ones. But then a new game gets announced, a brand new MMORPG which will change things. It will be amazing, incredible, have systems that revolutionize the genre, change gaming forever. It will be everything you want it to be, and people without a stable community in one of the existing games get very excited, because to them, this isn't just a new game. It's a brand new chance at being involved in a community. One which doesn't yet exist and so hasn't had a hierarchy set. When it kicks up,
I guess like, man, my MMO experience is very limited to like Eve and to RuneScape, not OS RuneScape, but back when it was just RuneScape. I feel like that's not always true. I feel like groups, this guy probably knows way more about MMO communities than me, but like, I feel like when new games come out, your groups will look to switch too, right? Like way back in the day for RuneScape, it was Guild Wars 2, I remember when that came out, there were like whole groups of people that would switch over to Guild Wars 2 for a while, or like for Eve, when these like stupid other MMOs come out, like the whole corp or whatever, or the whole alliance sometimes would all switch to these other games. Like I feel like groups will move over too for the excitement of like a new thing. It's not just people who have no communities or whatever.
Kickstarter asks for money for this brand new virtual world that will be everything you imagine. Many people who support them aren't buying a product. They're buying a dream. placing a down payment on a future friendship group, investing in a social connection they don't have or haven't found in any current game. This is why announced games have such outlandish and incredible sounding design, 1,000-player battles, unique player housing systems, reactive worlds, player-driven economies on a micro level, a future which changes based on your decisions, skill-based everything. These mechanical features are indeed something the MMORPG genre doesn't usually go for because of the technical limitations, or the mechanical quality was never really the focus of the genre. These claims of amazing things are for marketing, to grab headlines, and importantly, to give the investors and the evangelical supporters something to preach to the non-believers about what the game will have once the game is actually made. Because saying, I'm investing in this because I want to feel part of a community and haven't found one I gel with and feel this may create one I can be involved with from the start, thus grandfathering myself into the social fabric of society within the game and being important, doesn't flow as much as the game is going to be sick because it has cool features your game doesn't have.
Or maybe just for the people that donate, maybe they're less community oriented. That might be true, maybe, yeah.
It not only creates the us versus them mentality, but then actively supports it. This is why communities instantly spring up around unreleased games or projects, with people suddenly interacting, meeting other supporters, chatting via the Kickstarter comments, Discord groups which are formed, forums, YouTubers start to cover the information, communities begin to form around the game even though it doesn't exist.
Because they want to be the new, like, old guard of this game that hasn't even come out yet.
Who is critical of the game often gets attacked by that community, because to the community that is forming, that game isn't just a game. It's the start of a new symbiotic relationship between game and community and game, and critiquing any part of that process is attacking the process, preventing it from happening. And the process has to happen to form those connections, to maintain them, for them to be important at all, because the game needs to exist for their community, their social group to exist. And if they have so much time to dedicate to this new one that doesn't even exist yet, it's often because they haven't found stability in another. The groups of players which form around a new game project and then become friends, and indeed real friends, often know on some level that the project is the glue holding the community together. And if the project fails, the friendships will fail and fall away too. Think about how many times you've had work friends, then when you leave a job, you never see them again. It's the same principle, but with a game. Connection has value, and the people who support these projects do make connections and do value them even though the game doesn't exist. And you're not wrong for valuing them. They are important things. So why did this affect the MMORPG genre and player base so much? Disproportionately so. Why are MMORPG projects seeking millions in funding often more successful than, say, a smaller single-player game seeking far less? Well, if you want me to be candid and direct, it's because the MMORPG genre often encourages unhealthy play behaviors built around spending vast amounts of time inside it, and then it rewards those who have strong community connections within the games, and thus access to stable and capable teammates to complete the harder content. This leads to a group of people who spend so long online they lose or damage real-life social connections. So when those players either burn out of a game, get kicked out of their community, or leave for any other reason, you've got a subset of hardcore gamers who often place online gaming above real-life socializing, who want to spend hours and hours a day inside a virtual world, who are desperate for a new community to be a part of.
I'm trying to think, do I agree with that? I feel like, I don't know if that's fair. I hate MMR players as much as the next guy, but like, you know what? I think I disagree with this, because I can think of another community that longs for a new game, or used to, and it was the RTS community. I think the reason is why is just if you don't get like refreshes or new games, you get kind of jealous of all the other communities that get their new awesome games all the time, you know? Like, look at FPS. Like, FPS players don't want new games because they get new games all the fucking time. The new Call of Duty, the new Battlefield, Arc Raiders, extraction shooters, Battle Royales, the new Fortnite update, the new whatever. They've got like a billion fucking games every fucking year. It's like I'm playing Halo 27, Halo ONRST, DST, EMT or whatever. I've got like all the new fucking cool. It's like, Jesus, like every fucking 2 months you guys have a new fucking game. What the fuck? And then if you got like League or Dota, I don't know if Dota adds heroes or champions as much as fucking League does, but League gets like big updates all the time. There dramatically changes sometimes how the game is played, and there's new champions, and there's new heroes, and all this other bullshit. And then if you're like an MMO guy, it's like, man, I hope this new WoW expansion is good, because if not, I'm going to kill myself and go back to the same fucking bullshit that we've been doing for the last 20 years. Because no new games have come out, you know?
And want to be important within that community. But they've already gone through the games that exist and haven't found what they're looking for. Often not because they haven't found a game they like, but because they're looking to be part of something beyond a game, part of a social group. And those isolated or displaced players are willing to throw money at the potential of connection within a world which doesn't exist. A world where they are who they want to be, because it happens in the future, where they could be anything. Marketing people in the audience will know you don't sell a product, you sell a lifestyle. As a product, an MMORPG game is a fading genre populated by an aging player base. But as a lifestyle, it's still a gaming connection that people want. And selling tickets to the next big thing, grand opening gala, is far more impressive and prestigious than waiting for the thing to open and then selling normal tickets. People want to be at the premiere because they get seen being at the premiere, and this makes them important within the community, which will hopefully form around the thing. Consider this. When a Kickstarter MMORPG, a project or game which does not exist and is not playable, gives people the opportunity to pay hundreds or even thousands of pounds to support it, people do. And people then defend doing so. Maybe they believe in the project. But more often, I've found it's because those people are buying the future fantasy of social involvement and a community they fit in. They are buying the potential of a dream. Now imagine if an existing MMORPG offered shop options of future things for hundreds or thousands of pounds, or things which may one day exist. The communities would hate that. They'd call it greedy, a scam. They'd say, why are you asking for money for a product which doesn't exist within a game which does? And then consider the absurdity of this. Why are people more comfortable giving millions of pounds to a project which may possibly exist than giving the same amount of money to a project which actively currently does exist? It's because they aren't buying access to the game. They are buying the dream, and a dream is always perfect. Again, understand that an MMORPG player who is just happy and content with their current game and their current community is not giving hundreds or thousands of pounds to a project promising a new one. The people often supporting these projects at the highest price points are desperate for a community to belong in, and these projects know that. Giving money to a product which already exists means facing its flaws and facing the daunting task of ingratiating yourself into a community which already exists, climbing a social hierarchy which already exists, and accepting you may not be an important person straight away. You may fade into the crowd. It means dealing with social engagement where your value comes from you and you alone, and making friends as an adult is hard, especially when everyone else already has years of connection to each other. It's daunting. If you're coming from another MMORPG that you've played for years, it might mean unlearning mechanical systems and learning new ones, the embarrassment of failure. But when a game is brand new, everyone's suddenly in the same position. You're not the new guy, the outcast, or the extra anymore. You're suddenly one of the pioneers, the founders. You're in at the ground floor. And if the community grows, you won't just be some guy. You'll be one of the originals. And that is a very attractive concept for people who don't currently have a community. But a new MMO, a brand new community, that's a new start. Everyone wants to connect. That's a fresh chance at being a someone, a chance at belonging. And if it's still being designed, maybe a chance to suggest tweaks and changes, which will make it more like a game you once loved, to reclaim a level of familiarity. This is often why some of the highest, most expensive Kickstarter tiers have you designing aspects of the game. It's a way of saying, hey, not only is there a community, but you are important in it. This is another reason why so many Kickstarted MMORPGs often focus on the hardcore full loot PvP crowd, because those are often the players who, if not entrenched in a specific game long term, are so desperate to find a new community, because the games they latch onto often dwindle and die out, precisely because the design of them isn't conducive to holding a community long term. The players.
Are there any games that try to appeal to hardcore PvPers? I feel like that's always the least popular part of the game. It's like the loudest people online, but the vast majority of people just don't engage that much. I feel in like hardcore, like in hardcore PvP stuff. I don't know.
Hardcore full
Ashes was? Oh, okay.
PvP crowd, because those are often the players who, if not entrenched in a specific game long term, are so desperate to find a new community, because the games they latch onto often dwindle and die out, precisely because the design of them isn't conducive to holding a community long term. The players happy to ride the roller coaster of a theme park MMORPG, well, they're just doing that. And that's why the genre has been the same games for the past 10 years, because those are the communities which have endured, and that's why people will keep throwing money at new MMORPG projects, because those people haven't found a community they fit into yet, and the new game is promising to be just that. And that's why games almost never release, because the MMO genre is incredibly expensive, and even when they do, the community is small.
It's cool. People keep defending it as if everyone wants that, but every game that has it, no one plays. Yeah, I think it's like it's hard because like your online communities have your most dedicated players, but like I feel this sometimes when it's like, God, I wish Ark had more shit. Like this is so boring. Like the gameplay loop is like not as satisfying as it was in the past, and it's like, okay, that's probably true for me, but I have like 520 hours in the game. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know if there's a way to post numbers. It wouldn't surprise me if the average Ark Raiders player had like 30 to 40 hours. It wouldn't surprise me if it was like 30 hours average for this game, maybe less, 30 to 40 hours or less. So it's like people will get online, you know, people like me or people whoever who plays, like, this game fucking sucks. Where's the new content? Like, what's going on? It's like, bro, nobody's going to be generating content at the speed at which you're playing. You're obsessed. Okay, nobody's creating content for the person who plays 8 to 12 hours a day. That's not a normal thing. You can't make content fast enough. Like, it's gonna hurt the rest of your player base who's actually engaging with your product in a better way and paying money. Like, it's just not realistic, you know? Yeah. Yeah, the dev said that most people didn't reset. Most people didn't take the expedition. Most people thought the last expedition was too hard. And I think me and Mr. Mutin grinded that in like 9 days because we had just started playing the game.
And often proceeds to just keep getting smaller until it can't sustain itself and the cycle begins again. Another project appears, promising another dream, and people throw money at that one too. So the next time you see an MMORPG project like this, consider if you are being sold a dream of a potential future, and then try to wake up before deciding to give it your money. I firmly believe the MMORPG genre's greatest strength is not being the most technically advanced gaming experience, but the community within the games. Mechanically, all MMOs have glaring flaws. A brand new one won't change those. And a player desperate for a new MMORPG is often not crying out for a mechanical revolution within the game experience itself, but for a community to belong to experience the mechanics of the game with. This is why you won't see a WoW killer, no matter how mechanically advanced a new game is, because it's never been about making a better game on a technical level. It's about displacing a community which has endured for decades, which you won't do. It's why City of Heroes was revived. It's why old school RuneScape exists. It's why EverQuest is more popular than EverQuest 2. The communities of those games endured. And if you as an MMORPG player are waiting for the next big thing, maybe understand that it might not actually be a new game you're waiting for. It might just be a new community within a game that exists right now who would love to play that game with you and help you feel involved, connected, and want it. Maybe in the future a new MMO will release and succeed. But until then, you don't need to give your money to people selling you a dream. And there are communities in games awake and playing right now who would love to have you. Go and find a community and have fun in a game which exists. Make those connections in the...
Do you think games actually require streamers and pros to have long-term viability? I don't think so. But if they do, it's in a roundabout level. It's just because people watch streamers and then those people have friends who do what they do and then they play again. But I don't necessarily think so. I think streamers are more extractionary on a game than additive to a game. But that's because I fucking hate streamers and YouTubers. Get rid of all of it, okay? Fuck them all.
The present, instead of paying for a future which you may not get. Cheers for watching. Another massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who help this channel stay alive. You can support from only £1 a month. Check the video description for links to the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, Insta, and our Discord, a community you are welcome to join. And as always,
I remember when streamers used to fucking cry about that. You gotta make features for streamers. We're the only reason people play the game. You gotta make features for streamers. Have events to do things. Nobody's gonna play the game if the streamers don't like it. If the streamers don't like the game, nobody's gonna... Bro. Get me out. Streamers are the middle class. I hate them. Just like I hate the middle class.
Well, yeah, decide to react, and I say, well, yeah, Phil's lesbian haircut because lesbians, all right? try to have a haircut that emulates that of like a manly man. That's the point. When you say lesbian haircut, you're thinking a manly haircut.
Where is he wrong? Hello?
So you're saying that I went and I got a manly haircut. Okay. Decide to react.
Show me the mistake. Oh my fucking God. Look at this behemoth of a cat. Oh my God, look at him. Oh my God.
Australia? No, I'm not telling you guys, but Southeastern Asia, that's all I can say.
Do we decide if that includes
That one
India or
is
not?
big.
Oh shit. I didn't even see that one. Oh my God, he was fucking... Oh my God. Oh my God.
A real big one.
Ooh. Bro, both of these cats like way more than her. They could like devise a plan and kill this woman. Oh my God. Ooh. She could ride this cat in a non-sexual way. Oh my God. Oh, look at him. Oh my God, look at this. Oh, and he's so chill.
This is the real big one.
Oh my God. Jesus.
Our next suspect is a man of very few words, streamer.
Essentially, I had the best
1.5 thousand. Oh man. Oh, this is the one everybody wanted to watch yesterday.
session of Call of Duty Black Ops 7 I've ever had.
Throwing Semtex.
My own teammate. Shot my own teammate in the back of the head. That is not an exaggeration.
Wait, hold on. Quick meme. Wait, what is this?
Should be great. Starting to get great polls on the economy, which I think
the
is
polls
our
on the
biggest
economy aren't they're not great.
They should be great.
They should be. So why aren't they? If you believe that,
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, look, I've got
Americans tell us we hear this. I mean, we're going to get into the economy later, but I mean, they tell us they don't feel it.
Just so you understand. Yeah. I have $18 trillion being invested into the country.
Yeah.
Biden had less than $1 trillion for 4 years.
Wow,
And
really?
the whole country was going to credit. You know
When does
that,
America feel it?
You know that if they won that election,
This country
and we
be
won in
over.
a landslide. You know, if they won that election, this country was. I think it was finished. I actually think it was finished.
Wow, just 4 years, he would have destroyed the whole country. Projection much?
Oh my God. Every single match, I was in like the top 3.
Okay.
Oh my God. And
What game is he playing? Is that Battlefield or Call of Duty? I feel like for a modern shooter, that ADS looks really slow. Or is he just using a big machine gun or something? Or it's called Black Ops? Oh, for Black Ops, that seems real slow. Is that normal?
And I had a positive kill-death ratio. I don't even want to look at my kill-death ratio because I know it's terrible. I know I'm doing awful. Sometimes I had 2 times, almost 3 times kill-death ratio. I was absolutely positively tearing it up today.
Oh, this one is way faster. Okay, never mind.
That's not what I wanted to do, particularly with the LMG. What an idiot. Yo, he walked right by me. This sucks. My mouse hit the side here. I gotta move. My mouse hit the side and I couldn't aim. But even when I was swapping to my alternate, my handgun to do that daily challenge, when I was trying to do things, just basically everything was kicking ass. Seriously. Oh my God. I can't see. Oh my God, that guy's just spraying and it wouldn't show his name, so I couldn't aim for him. I was just going crazy. And the thing is, people that were there were cheering for me and were like, yeah, good job. And the attendance was good. But during the entire time I played Call of Duty, that was 3 hours of Black Ops 7 today, I only got like $20 of support.
What?
That's not an exaggeration. It was like 3 hours of gameplay, $20 of support. No one supports
Guys, what the fuck? Seriously?
Call of Duty. Seriously. It's bad. It's to the point now where like I've tried playing Black Ops 7 so many times, like 3 or 4 different times, and it keeps just not getting supported. I'm done with it. And the thing is, that's a shame. I had a great time playing it today. I really did.
Broke boy?
That's what you guys are.
I got better at it. I unlocked new things I wanted to try, like akimbo SMGs and other things. I can't keep streaming this game when no one wants to support it. I just can't. I'm sorry, you know? So after Black Ops 7 ended, we did DSP Tries It, the Shake Shack Korean barbecue menu that just launched. And I tried the burger, the chicken bites, and the cheese and barbecue fries. But here's the funny part.
Okay.
I finished playing Black Ops 7.
And then what?
I start doing DSP Tries It. Over $20 of support comes in.
What?
So people supported in droves for the morning show, and then for DSP Tries It, but no one wanted Black Ops 7.
Damn,
So
guys.
listen, I
No
hear
more.
you loud and clear.
No more.
That's enough for me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep playing it if no one really wants it and certainly doesn't want to support it. So that's the last hurrah for Black Ops 7, which is a shame. Again, I like the game. I don't love it. I think it is one of the worst Call of Duties I've played, but it's still silly fun, especially now with my new setup, being able to control it well and everything. Oh, why am I reloading? I wanted to...
Hold on 1 second. I just gotta watch. Hold on.
Entire time I played... Oh my god. I can't see.
He can't be using a mouse. This is he, hold on. I can't tell. He's not using a mouse, right? This is a controller, right? Hold on. Find me. Where's the DSP stream? Does he stream on Twitch or? I don't believe you. He said his mouse hit the keyboard when he couldn't. No, it must have been his controller hit the keyboard. Hold on. Call of Duty this?
Suck. I told you.
No, nobody does this. Nobody walks like this and doesn't, like, he has to have like an above average human ability to keep his arm still. There's no shot.
I got a Semtex kill. Holy shit, that's awesome.
Oh, who moves that way?
Yeah, the gun takes too long to reload though.
Focus. Hostile scout pulse nearby.
Oh my god. That was brutal.
What?
Oh, come on. Oh my god. Again, this gun takes so long to reload.
True.
What the fuck is going on? What was that?
Okay, this looks more. Like a mouse. That was a mouse move. Okay, I'm assuming that was an auto aim.
Oh god. The fuck?
Okay. I don't know, man. Watch now and determine if good shot or not Destiny. Well, the SWAT team or whatever is already out, so already starting off on a bad foot here, but okay. Okay, we're already off to a real bad start here. Okay.
Southwest 102, please come out with your hands up. This is a Miami-Dade Sheriff's Officer in search warrant 15513 Southwest 102, please come out with your hands up.
Come outside! Come outside! Wait. It's coming out, it's coming out. Come outside! Open the door!
What is the lead up to this?
Let's go, pa' afuera. Pa' afuera, cojones. Let me see.
Whoa! He's dead. That dude's super dead. Bro, what? This guy's moving out like a fucking aggroed Skyrim NPC. This guy, he's gone. That guy's super. He's already dead. Agent Smith, sir, your men are already dead. What? He doesn't. There's a suicide by. He's not even trying to fight. I don't even care what kind of gun. This dude just wants to die. Now's my chance. Yeah. Ooh. He's literally holding a gun. How can there be a? How can there be a right or wrong answer? What, why am I even linked this? The guy's like clearly, obviously in the wrong. What? Wow. Okay. He had his AirPods in. Oh no, Daenerys. What is this? Pokemon crashes out on a fan that calls her out for maximizing money out of her audience.
The way you interact with your viewers is oriented to max money, and you low-key had many dudes. I still think you're funny. You mean the way I don't have my sub count on, ignore half my donos and subs, mute everything, never ask for anything, get mad when people gift subs? Yeah, I'm definitely maximizing money. Hey, it's okay to have assumptions. It's okay. Oh, I forgot. I also limited my donos to $5 5 years ago.
Well, I feel like this is fair. No, I don't know if you would ever say Pokemon maximizes money out of our audience. That's kind of a dumb. Okay. We're going to do that HDR video tomorrow, okay? We will watch that video. And we will learn about HDR. Oh, did we finish this?
Oh my god, crazy kills.
We did. Okay, wait. And then he reacts to him.
Understand something about Reddit, okay? The people who sit on Reddit reading it all day are retarded.
Okay,
all right?
true.
Clip this and put it on Reddit for me, okay? Hello, Reddit readers. Hi, everyone who sits on Reddit all day reading it. You're retarded. Normal people don't sit on Reddit all day watching out of context crap and think that it's fact and talk about it and make it go viral. No one cares. You're a loser. You'll always be a loser. That's why you sit on Reddit all day. Enjoy your live stream fails. I'll sit here making content, making money, and have...
Are you more of a fan of dry fire drills or drilling at the range when drawing from concealed? Dry fire drills are best because you should be practicing your parkour while dry firing. How sick would it be if you were on video, like doing a fucking Dark Souls roll into pulling your firearm into shooting a perp? It would just be so sick. Fuck the range. They won't let you do any of that shit at the range. I've gotten kicked out of so many ranges. Like if you hop the turns, if you hop over the thing or whatever, like because sometimes you got to go CQC, you got to go close combat, and they throw you out instantly for it just because the other people are shooting. That's part of real life. Okay, that's a real combat scenario. You're not gonna be able to tell everybody, you know, range is cold or put down your guns. Sometimes you just got to get in there. You know, don't waste your time at ranges. That's not real life combat scenarios, guys.
A great time with my audience, and you can get bent. There you go. Put that on Reddit.
Got it.
All right? Cool. That's where it should belong. Right there on the front page of Reddit. Me telling them how it is.
Got him. Sorry. How many bankruptcies have you guys defeated in court? Because DSP's got at least one, so get fucked. I can't say what I want to say. I can't say what I want to say about this, so I'll just. If he grants himself the win on this lawsuit, there's a huge GoFundMe that it's a video game and everything.
Essentially, the lawsuit's been won. I guess I won a lot of money.
How would this work, though? Scott Bessent's the head of the IRS.
What I would
Pam
do-
Bonnie's the head of the Justice Department. They're going to defend the IRS against you.
I
You're
know,
their
it's
boss.
well, there's never been anything like it, in all fairness.
So are you going to tell them to pay you?
Don't forget, I sued as a private citizen. because I sued between terms. I won
But are you
3
gonna tell them to
times.
pay you?
I won 3 times, but I didn't assume, unfortunately for this country, I didn't assume office the second time. But here's the story. I sued because they broke into Mar-a-Lago. That was before I became president. Now it goes along, and it turned out that the suit is a very strong suit.
You're going to tell them to pay you, though? Because you're the boss.
Well, what I would do, tell them to pay me, but I'll give 100% of the money to charity. I don't.
Like, he can't even give the correct answer. He can't even just say that, oh, I would never say that. Like, it's so out in the open. This is my number one argument against that Pisco shit, or my number one argument against any, like, under wraps conspiracy shit about Hassan and everything. There's never, this administration will not have any hidden conspiracies, ever. Because they feel like they have the moral authority to do whatever the fuck they want, all the way out in the open. This is the type of shit that would be a behind closed doors conspiratorial shit that you'd be trying to coordinate this shit. They can't do it. Trump doesn't do it. He thinks he has the moral authority to literally do whatever the fuck he wants. They will never hide anything because he's shameless.
You're the boss. Well, what I would do, tell them to pay me, but I'll give 100% of the money to charity. I don't want any of that money.
You take it out of the system. A couple more questions here.
No, I'm putting it back into the system.
Yeah.
If I give money to American Cancer Society, I will give 100% of the money away to charity. I don't want any of it.
$30 trillion debt, and we're going to take $10 billion out.
Like, imagine how fucking retarded this is. I'm going to sue the IRS and force them to give me $10 billion so I can donate it to charity. Why the fuck did you get rid of USAID then? Why the fuck would you do it in the most inefficient, retarded fucking way possible?
Of the system?
Well, I mean, you give it away anyway. They give away a lot of money.
Your endorsement.
I'll tell you what, speaking about that, Minnesota and these other states, we have massive investigations going into fraud.
Yeah.
Do you know if we captured 50% of the fraud of this country right now, we would have better than a balanced budget. And you got to mention that Minnesota, $19 billion in fraud that we.
Where's Josiah? This is the radical shit that I want him pushing, because he already pushes on the radical shit, getting rid of the filibuster, expanding the Supreme Court. But now those are going to be the mainstream positions. Here's the next thing, okay, I need all the libs to start pushing on. We need to make like the, I'm trying to think of what we would call it. I can't think of a clever acronym, but it would be like the Federal Balanced Ledger Act. And what this act would do is it would make it so that all the funding for states in the US, the payout is equivalent to the pay-in. If these blue states are so fucking horrible to live in and are so fucked and terrible, then the red states must not want that money, so fuck them. You now get back to your state, federally funded, how much you pay into the federal government, federally funded. That should be a new act. And then let the red states figure their shit out. And if there's a surplus of money, pay it back to the citizens of the blue states or whatever the fuck, or invest it in something else in the blue states, give it to the governors, give it to the mayors. That they should pass that act. Fuck the red state. You want to say these are shitholes, terrible place to live while they're fucking paying money for your fucking welfare? Fuck that shit. Friction, magical, heated, rivalry, bout, conflict, like war, Netscape, bingo, bullseye, discord, lottery, round, approx, and craps. Some sort of, oh, good bait. Good bait. Good one. I was baited. There's conflict, there's rivalry, there's discord, there's about, there's war. It's heated. Is it war? Oh, friction. There's friction. Oh, fuck this. Okay. Oh, man. We already used all our shit up. Not good. Oh, man. Early internet companies? Netscape? Okay, bingo. Craps. Lottery. Bullseye? There's another game here. I don't know what the fuck it is. Round? Approx? I've never heard of this shit. I used all my fucking shit up. I'm fucked. Oh, I'm so smart. Hold on. Wait, am I? A? Like about, alike, around, a craps? A war? A bingo? No, shot, is that a real word? Wait, am I baiting myself again? About. They're alike. They're. A bingo? Bullseye. Oh wait, that's like a thing. Wait, is it? Bingo, bullseye. Magical lottery. War. Fuck. Alike, about, around. There's no way a bingo is a word. It's a bingo. No way. I'm trolling. I don't even know. Hold on. Oh my god, I'm fucked. Craps. Numbers? No. Bullseye, is that the name of it? Is that what you call darts? Bullseye? There's no way, right? Fuck it, I don't care. Get me the fuck out of here. God, fuck me. Games of chance. What the fuck is war? Oh my god, I just fucking had sucked back into being 7 years old. That's the game where you flip the card and it's higher or lower, that shit, right? Oh my god. This is like a 30-year-old memory. Oh my god, with grandma, unironically. More or less, colloquially. Bout, it's like, it's round. What? Who says round? It's round. It's round. It's around. It's round. It's approx. Who says approx? It's about. Who says it's approx? Oh my god, get me out of here. Starting with NBA teams. Bulls, the Heat, Miami Heat, Magic, Net. I don't even know the city. I don't care. Get me the fuck out of here. $9.50 to redeem yourself? I can do whatever the fuck I want. Wait, what is it called? Rhythm. What is that rhythm game? Oh, got rhythm. What? Glitched. This is glitched. Hold on. Glitched. Super glitched. What? Close enough. Okay. Get me out. All right. Good night. Be careful. Stay safe. I love you very much.